Welcome, YouTube. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming back. Hope everyone had a fantastic holiday this past week. As you guys can see, we got a nice panel of guests today. So, joining us again from last week from Siphonics Hi-Fi, Mr. Joseph, aka Kanga, and whatever else they're looking for him in Canada as.
It's Kanga, eh? That's all you need to know.
Exactly. Mr. Ike joining us back. Thank goodness, because we all saw what happened last week. So thanks for coming back to join and run the board, and most of all, interject your fantastic comments.
Yeah, I mean,
how are you doing today?
Much better than last week. Things are a little much more stabilized, but yeah, you did a great job, So thanks for running the show and thanks for all the support, especially from Paul. I know you did a lot to support. Thank you.
I did a lot to pick on Don, is what I did.
Other than that text that said it's all Ike's fault.
Yeah. I was like, he shouldn't have left you alone, man. Shouldn't have left you at the helm.
I tried my best, but some things can be out of control. So
we all saw by the end that I was able to grasp what was going on. I couldn't help that it wouldn't allow people into the room. So, but look, hey, it is what it is. We're here again, and we have the professional running the behind the scenes today. So, once again, we got Mr. Fred. How are you, Mr. Fred?
Doing great. My vacation's winding down, so I'm not as happy as I was like a week ago.
Yeah, I'm so jealous of that vacation that you had. I think you mentioned somewhere else that I was speaking with you on the phone or whatever that you had. I guess you had from like the week the day before Christmas or whatever, and then all the way through next year, right? Like the 4th or the 5th or something like that.
The third. So I was, it was like I think the 18th. I was off from the 18th up until the 3rd. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
a
nice. Use it or lose it, right?
Absolutely. That's how it is at my place. Use it or lose it.
I understand. Thank goodness it hasn't been that busy on my job. We have a lot of customers that are closed down for the whole holiday season. So after Christmas, it's for those of you that don't know, I'm actually a branch manager for Terminex Commercial. So basically, a lot of businesses have closed down. We've been just getting a lot of restaurant and retail calls, but nothing as far as regular offices and everything. So that this week has been a lot calmer than normal. So, and Kanga, you're on holiday also, right? Isn't that what they call that up in Canada, holiday?
Yeah, they said go home and don't come back for 2 weeks. A lot of people think that Canadians are polite, but that's what we like to tell the world. Yeah, holidays, Christmas vacation. I guess it would be technically a plant shutdown, so they can do a lot of required maintenance, look over the machines, do that kind of thing while people are on holidays. It's scheduled specifically so that no one's around while they take care of all the technicalities. So essentially that's what it is.
Okay. Yeah. So speaking of holiday, Paul, I know we talked about you sitting on Santa's lap and whispering dirty nothings into his ear. But
oh yeah, quite a few things popped up when I sat on his lap. If you say the right things.
What did Santa bring you or inspire you to do while over the holiday?
So me and Ton mostly, I think, UI, UX type of field. Me just behind the scenes engineering, and we love audio and home theater. Obviously, we're part of a few select groups that are more friendship oriented as opposed to, just being a number. But with that friendship with Ton, we are more inspired to do experience. Like he's like setting up like a VR stage and everything, way more advanced than what I've gotten into. I'm old school. He's a little bit younger than me, a little bit more motivation than I got, a little more energy maybe. But yeah, he's doing a full VR thing. He did a full theater just like everyone else on here, and that inspired me to take my non-used formal dining room, which I've used I think twice, maybe in the 7 years I've been here, for like some games. I don't think I've ever even eaten at that table.
Understood.
So I like to socialize. I like to go out. I like to hang. I like to talk. So it got me to the idea of building a barcade, since I've always loved arcades, but actual arcade systems are like thousands of dollars per unit for something that I would want. But I went down the rabbit hole of the Arcade 1-Up, which is basically like emulators in MDF cabinets, basically. But they do the justice for as much as you're really going to use them. So I have basically 3 arcades and a pinball and a full bar. And that Chuck inspired me to start building more stuff after seeing him, whip together an entire friggin' room with perfection. So I'm like, surely I can do a couple things with wood. And oh man, when you're not experienced, challenge is abundant. I'm like, man. But
It's all about the tools too with woodworking. If you don't have the proper
yeah,
tools,
yeah, the better tools do help. Yeah, I mean, I've got like the top.
But skill helps too, though.
Well, yeah, I have the ability and I have the skill. I don't have the experience, which is what separates the professionals, right? So, but anyways, I even recently, so it has a 2 uh, bar height, all of it's bar height, a couple stools and a couple actual chairs where you can comfortably sit and watch movies with feet rests. It has a couch and it has a little infinity table in the center, which is like a board game type of table. So you just, play like Life or Sorry or whatever, all in the center. And then the arcade wall. And then I put LEDs. I have a 65-inch OLED TV sitting in there. I made a couple sound panels. I have a custom mirror that's I got for Christmas, like, gosh, probably 20 years ago at this point, that I've never hung, that I put up there. We painted one wall, a chalkboard wall, and, we'll draw art and stuff depending on the party that we have. And we have right now it's just a Velcro dartboard. I put like some foam backer, so if you miss, you hit this foam instead of the wall. And I painted
that's always
everything.
nice.
Yeah, and there's Govee lights up overhead, underneath the bar, behind the TV, and the cherry on top. Because I keep my my house usually around 63 to 65 degrees, somewhere around there, and I bundle up. But in that room, since there's a bay window, basically a 3-pane window that's like 7 foot tall, it gets pretty chilly. So I added a fireplace that's a space heater basically, but it has LEDs on the back and it has a LED flame that looks pretty cool. I added that to it.
Now,
well.
now I want to see it, man.
Yeah, I'll make a video whenever I get it all ready. I plan on doing like just a little quick video, but I have a little gimbal because I just use my phone. I don't need any, I have like $1 million old, DSLR camera that I used for photography, but video, I just use my iPhone, and these things are pretty damn good. But the gimbal that I had, which is the Osmo Mobile 3, it needs I just ordered a counterbalance for it because with this camera and the extra 3 lens, that gimbal goes and it freaks
Yep.
out because it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, that thing's lopsided like like crazy. So the gimbal's
Yeah, I
pretty
have
much useless
the
right now. So
I have the DJI, I think it is, and it calls
mm,
for certain only up to a certain weight on the phone, and I actually got to take it out of the case when I use it because just like you said,
yep,
it'll
yeah,
flip
yeah.
flop, and next thing you know, it'll
So
just start doing
yeah.
circles.
And then after the first time I showed my theater, I got my Govee theater lighting, the AI sync box, working again. Actually, it was working last time. I just didn't know how to turn it on because it's been so long.
Oh,
I
okay.
was like, oh, okay, there's the on button. So I got that all working and programmed. And then I also built a cover for all of my equipment. So it's basically all the equipment with all the wires and the cables and everything. I literally just built a sound transparent, just basically 1x2 pine that I created a frame, and then I covered it in sound, whatever capable cloth that's
Grill
just
cloth.
goes right through the, which is easy to test. I know a lot of people make this complex. It's like, oh, is it acoustically transparent? How do you know? Bring your damn cell phone and play a music and then put it behind the damn cloth. How much does the sound change? It's that simple.
Yeah.
But people overthink it. So
What's up,
Supposedly,
Chuck?
if you can blow through it,
Hold on,
simply.
You just laid back, man. Good to see you.
Mr.
Thanks
yeah,
for hopping on.
Yeah, I was going
yeah,
to get to the formal introduction, Mr. Chuck. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Hope you had a great
yeah.
holiday.
And what's that
oh yeah, I had
jersey
a good
number?
time.
What's that jersey number you got on there,
That's
man?
number 12 with Tom Brady.
Okay, that's no wonder. I knew there was something about you I didn't like.
I keep hearing that beep in the background. I know it's not from my end.
It's
You
a
guys
ding
hear
Somebody's
this?
ding.
got their phone notifications.
Yeah, I
on.
think it's a phone
Oh,
notification or
yeah, it
something.
might be mine. Let me mute it.
It's all
Oh
good.
my
It's all
God!
good.
All
We're very
your
informal here.
all your OnlyFans trying to reach
Yeah,
you,
I
Paul.
don't hear. I'm too busy talking. I ain't listening to all that dinging. That happens all day, every day.
That's $1 coming in for his OnlyFans.
Yep.
He's got like
Dollar a
20 bucks
ding,
right
man.
now.
It doesn't bother me at all. The more the dings, the better.
Finally figured it out.
So, anyways, that's pretty much all I've done. And I did build a little riser for my center speaker. I'm still going to put some stain on it, even though it's going to be behind the cloth. But just
Now, did you angle it,
that
or
for
did you
protective
just?
wood.
Is it just flat?
It's just flat, but I'll put angles underneath it because I don't want to just angle it depending on the speaker I get. And I was going to go down it's such a small, I only need like a 4-inch riser. So I literally just put a little block. And the other reason I did that really was so I could set some of my stuff like my NVIDIA Shield, Apple TV, and my Zadoo all underneath there. Because right now I have like my AVR, amp, and the center speaker. And that leaves about maybe 4 inches on each side, if that. So I basically have literally the Zadoo is behind the Apple TV and the NVIDIA Shield's back behind. Like you don't even see that thing right now at all. So now with this just little riser so I can set stuff underneath the speaker. That's the real reason. Because if I change speakers, I'll have to change the angle
Exactly.
and whatnot.
Yeah, that's pretty smart.
Nice.
So, Mr.
Anyways,
Chuck,
how's everyone else
thank you
doing?
for joining us. Everyone else is doing
Oh,
great.
thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
Always
man.
good to be on
Glad
the
to
show
see you
with
back.
Fred.
I think you were on what episode 3, 4, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, I think 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah,
So good.
I'm still working on what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to break down some of the longer podcasts into actual clips that show your home theater tours. You know, I
Yeah.
was hoping to get to it this week, but I had so many stuff coming up with a kid being sick. So hopefully by
Oh
this
man.
weekend I should. Yeah, she's not having a good week. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
But
that's a bummer. I hate when I'm sick, man. It
yeah.
slows everything down. I like to be busy. I like to keep moving and
Yeah, we took her to the hospital, and I think
Mhm.
she ended up getting something from there. And then we got back home, and every one of us, all five of us, just went downhill.
Oh
Like,
man.
Wow.
yeah, yesterday probably slept for. I think I spoke with Don. You called me sometime in the afternoon, or I don't remember, but I started sleeping at 4 p.m. yesterday, and I didn't get up till 2 a.m.
Mm.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
how
Wow.
down. Yeah, we all got flatlined throughout the holiday, but we're kicking back up and getting much better. So it's been crazy, but yeah, back to the gist. But yeah, I'll try to get that out so that it's a lot easier for people to get on and then just pinpoint and take a look and see the home theater tours, and watch that, and so we can get it out there. But it's that's coming. I know Eric just asked about that in the chat, and I just told him we had already done a tour of your home theater, Fred. So I think that
Yeah.
would
Yeah,
help.
I think everybody on here has had a tour. So if you haven't check those out, make sure that you go back and check out the live on either my channel, which is Horizon Home Theater, or Ike's channel, which is Easy HT Tech. Make sure you go in to hit the live section, because that's where all of those episodes are going to be stored on the live. And you'll see, I think we're on number 7 now, so you'll see 6 other episodes. Um, we've done 6 theater tours. The idea is actually to have a theater tour every time if we can. If not, we'd like to just have a kickback like we're kind of having today. Kind of like a Zoom meeting, or just a get together and talk. But um, plans are, if we have time, I'll do a little look see at my theater and the build progress that I got going on right now. But I know Mr. Chuck. I've spoken to him. He's told me some things that Santa brought for him,
Oh,
and
really?
some upgrades that he had going on in the theater. Chuck, what you got going on over there? Share with your fans.
I'm about to bite the bullet on that K-scape.
Oh
Uh
boy.
oh.
My man,
Nice.
my man
There we
Don
go.
is
You know
showing
what
me
that
some
means?
love, you
That means Fred will be next. That's what that means. Fred will be right
Before
behind you.
Chuck, before you finish, I'll just say this. You weren't on the last show, Paul. I don't believe you were there, but I did at the end. I said it. I do think the Kaleidoscape is a great product, and I'm just not in the market at the moment, but I would definitely consider it, and I'll talk a little bit about that, when I'm up. Go ahead, Chuck. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. I mean, I've been looking around, and you know, I always said that sometimes you can look around and you could get a little discount here and there, And once I found out I could get me a discount, uh, I'm not gonna say what it is or anything like that, but I was like, okay, I'm ready to pull a bullet. I've been putting away a little here and there, and I'm finally at that point. So that's gonna be my next upgrade. Actually, my next
I
upgrade is to
think
call the cable
that's
company and
gonna
change my
be a
cable.
lot. Yeah, I think you're gonna have a lot better experience with that than the Zapedi or the Arvolution, or whatever they call it. Not that those are bad,
Yeah,
but they're way more tech oriented. I think
yeah.
where
And I'll be running both
that's more
for a while.
user.
Yeah, I'll be running both because obviously I got way more on the Evolution
Yeah.
as far as my
Hmm.
movies, and it'll be a slow build up,
Yeah.
and
I have a feeling you'll transfer over quick. I think once you get that K-scape, you'll be like, "What? No, I ain't." I ain't dealing with that. I'm just hitting the button.
Well,
Yeah,
the
Because
way
I got
that
to
I utilize that
download.
is the way that I utilize that is basically any new movie. I'm not purchasing discs anymore. I know that Chris was on a while back from my home theater, and he actually talked about in one of his videos the Equalizer 3 with the IMAX Enhance with the 3 disc set. So that's the last one that I have bought. But with the Kaleidoscape, I just buy all my new movies on the Kaleidoscape, right? I don't
Yeah,
go out and buy any more discs or anything like that. But you, like you said, you can definitely use it in tandem,
Yeah.
hmm
with your Zapedi or your with the Arvolution app added on. And I know I helped you get that set up. And how is that
yeah.
working for you? Is that working good?
Oh yeah, that's working excellent now. Yep. So and
Okay,
like you
great.
said, now that I know where I'm going, I stopped buying discs because normally every Tuesday I'm looking to see, okay, what came out, you know.
Right.
And now I'm like, nah, I ain't buying nothing, you know. I'm just gonna
Hmm.
wait until, you know. And so one of the first things I'm sure I have to do is I don't know how you copy everything so that I can put it on the Kscape list so that when they
Yep.
go on sale, at that point I could probably purchase them, I'm not
Well,
gonna
most of them will
actively.
be on sale.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of them, yeah, most of them are like $4. So you put the Blu-ray, you literally just hook up the drive that you use to rip your movies with right into the back of the port, and the Kaleidoscape. And I try not to turn these shows into Kaleidoscape shows every week. I try not to, but every week it gets brought up. But anyway,
He
just
loves
to be
he
quick,
loves his K spot.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
I
the
look,
truth is, I
Well,
actually
to
last.
change the subject. Well, go ahead.
No, go on, Chuck. Finish it.
No, I was gonna say if to get off of Kscape, um, I actually did purchase that multi-base um thing for Marantz.
oh,
Oh,
okay,
The
the basic
Blu-ray.
direct
base.
control,
Yeah,
base
Hmm.
control for
and
direct.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I called them up and complained a little bit about I tried to purchase it and I didn't see it would working. I tried calling support and they have their support system I didn't like. You email, then you got to wait 4 days before somebody to get back to you. Then you answer them, you got to wait another 4 days. So I canceled my order, you know, and they finally wrote back like, "Why?" And I said, "Because your customer service sucks."
Sucks.
I said I
Yeah.
can't get it to work. That's why I canceled it. So they gave
Yeah.
me more of a discount, you know. So I got it even cheaper now for that
There's your
multi. You know?
there's your customer service right there.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry,
no,
Yeah,
no,
it's
no,
not
no.
it's not focusing.
I was gonna say Chuck's fortunate that he was able to get his Zadu or not Zadu Zapedi from a smaller business, because if you buy from larger businesses, I mean, which
yeah, I got it from
there's
Don.
yeah, there's two, it's just how things work. Whenever you
Hmm.
buy from smaller businesses, usually you're afforded more attention, you're afforded more, if you were one of 10,000 people calling, I mean, there's just not
Hmm.
enough time in the day where Don could help you. But at
Yeah,
the same time, a lot of the times you can get, sometimes, not always, a lot of the times you can get just as good a discount from your smaller businesses, but a lot of the times you buy
oh
from
yeah,
larger companies because you
yeah,
get, hey, I bought 10, AV10s or 80 or whatever model that are, $8,000 a piece, but I bought, 20 of them. So I get them for, 10% of the cost. So I can
yeah.
afford to discount certain people, blah, blah, blah.
And
Yeah.
So
Don
it's a
helped me
trade
a
off,
lot.
but
I'm
Yeah.
I'm funny in the fact that I don't like to ask for help. So sometimes I know I need it and I'll try and suffer with it through for myself. I'll get frustrated and kind of leave it alone.
I
But Don
think,
will call me just say, "Hey, how's it going? Did you get this done, or did you
Yep.
get And I'm like, "Well, I tried, but it
Yeah.
wasn't working." And he's like, "Look,
Yeah.
Look,
I'm working
you
right
guys are
now,
gonna
but
get
when I get
Don's head to
home, I'm
explode on
gonna
the
give you a
show.
call."
All right, take it
You
easy
know
with
you
the
know you know
Don,
what you know
with
what
the
that's called? That's
with the
called
Don
friends with
accolade.
benefits.
I know, right? It's almost like, dude. At this point, just open up a new page and have them subscribe, Don. You might make some money from it.
Chuck, I think really you're like me and a lot of people that are crafty or whatever. You want to you try to figure it out yourself until you get frustrated, then you step away, and then you come back to it. Not because necessarily I'm ashamed to ask for help, right? But if you don't go through the rough experience of trying to teach yourself, then you'll never truly understand it. It's
Yeah.
just like anything. It's like woodworking. Until you understand, everybody thinks, oh, it's easy to cut lumber. It's like, build a square box. I'd like to see you build a square box.
Nah,
Most people
if I pay
couldn't
good
build a
money, if I pay
square
good money for
box.
it, I don't want to figure it out, man.
It's like build a square. Simplest thing when you look at it. But it's like, nope, you have to use a lot of expertise to build a square.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
if I pay good money for it, I don't want to have to figure it out, man.
Exactly. Well, and
Uh,
there's the
but
other thing,
I think
right? And
that's
that's
isn't that the lore of the K-scape, and
yeah,
you know
yep. That
about
exactly. That's right. I
yeah
was getting
about
ready
a
to say
week
right back to
ago,
the K-scape,
yeah
right? You either
about a
have an
week ago,
engineer,
no, about a week
yeah,
ago,
or
I got to experience the K-scape, the Mod VR Extreme,
Mhm.
and the Trinov with
Nice.
the base control, whatever they call
The
it, the new
ultimate
stuff.
combo, huh?
Oh
I
wow.
got to experience
Yeah.
it for about 2 hours, and I was like, man. Now the Trinov I can afford. The Extreme I gotta save up, but that K-scape, I was like, you know what, 2024, I want me one of those, man.
Yeah.
It just, I think it's just one of those things that you get to sit in a room with, and obviously, it was like in-game processor, in-game video processor type
Yep.
stuff, and all of that just works together. But man, I
Hmm.
was like, I mean, if I can't get the top two, I'm just gonna start with the little one that is the Kaleidoscape. So yeah, don't be
Yeah.
surprised too if I show up on the show one of these weeks and be like, yep, I got mine too. So
Yeah.
it's no, it just
Yeah,
works. It just works.
yeah.
And
That that
I have the philosophy in life is, that's why I work. That's why I work
Yeah.
hard to be able to
Yeah.
afford
yeah,
certain things. So
Yep.
it just
Yep.
works. And
Yeah.
once you
yeah.
really get to experience it, and as long as you're not breaking bank for it, and as long as you're not, don't go into
Yeah.
debt
That's
because
the
of
key.
stuff like
You,
that, right?
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
definitely the key, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I was
That is
saying. Like
true.
on the other show, I was talking a little bit about that, and right at the end, and I was because I think you asked me if there was anything else that I planned to add to my system, and I said no. But like I said, the Kaleidoscape is something that I do think about because, that's the thing. Like you don't need to be influenced by anyone. The
Yeah.
question is, what is it in your system where you feel like I always look at it this way. So if you have speakers and you don't think they're good enough, then you buy better speakers, right? If you have a processor and it's not doing what you need it to do, then that's the item that needs attention. And so when I think about this whole thing, I'm not looking to do anything else. But one thing that I will say is every once in a while, and Paul, you mentioned this, you'll go to rip a disk, copy a disk, and you'll run into errors, right? And it'll fail like, some bit some problem or something, and like it'll copy, but then sometimes you get little glitches when it's playing. Something may happen, right? So that's one of the things that I think about. I say, okay, well, I know eventually, and that's what I've said a bunch of times, like whether they stop making physical media or not, I look at it like this. Like at some point I may just get to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to get a Kaleidoscape just because I won't have those issues, right? It'll just be basically when there's
Y-
something that I want to watch, I push the button and I start to watch, and that's all there is to it. So that's what intrigues me. Just the
Yeah.
the ease of use, the convenience of being able to just like, see it, play it, and not worry
I
about, oh,
equated
I
it to anytime we hear K-scape, and I'm on this boat too. People will say, oh, you can do your own, whether it's Plex, to do, whatever it is, right? Or even Zapiti, right? You don't even need
Mhm.
a Zapiti NAS. You can just get or Arvolution, I guess now. There's people that talk about that. It's like, yeah, sure. It's easy to say that, right? But what I equate versus Kaleidoscape, the only thing that anyone has ever said negative about Kaleidoscape is the price. That's
Yep.
saying a lot. That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
If the price is the
Yeah.
only thing people can complain about, that speaks volumes, right? It's you learn more from what's not said, right?
And
If that's the only thing they're complaining about. So the comparison I made is when people gamble, they never tell you about their losses. They only tell you about their
The
wins.
wins, right?
And that's the same
Mhm.
thing with doing your own media, right? It's like, well, yeah, it's a shit ton cheaper, right? Except in time. And if you run into any difficulties, and anybody that says, oh, I've never had any difficulties, it's like, well, okay, then I don't know
Yeah.
what magic you
Then
have, but
no,
So
and I mentioned to
either
Don,
extremely lucky,
yeah,
or you're
it's
full of shit.
possible. It's
One of the two,
possible.
right? Either you're full of
Or
shit
so
even
or
like
extremely lucky.
cataloging. It's getting the media to be digital is one thing, but then making it a usable experience is another whole step and difficulties that people don't know. Try to do like I do all like my Dragon Ball Z, Samurai Champloo, Cowboy
Yeah.
Bebop, animes. Those require special naming conventions, folder structures, all this stuff in order to work with
Yeah.
all these third-party catalog applications like Jellyfin and
Mhm.
MB and whatnot. But you run into one little thing and you're just like, oh man, what the hell? What did I do? And
But but
let's
your
face it,
situation though, Paul, your
yeah, we
situation's a
have
little more.
400,
It's more.
500, 1,000 discs that we're
Yeah.
dealing with. And one, you get something
yep.
wrong or you start the wrong. I did
But
something,
Paul,
I
So
forgot what it was. I
Paul,
named
your
something
situation
wrong
though, Paul,
and it
your
didn't.
situation is a little more complex than mine, Paul, because all I have is 4K Blu-ray movies, most of them Atmos, right? And so like I don't have 300 movies yet, right? And it may be a little while before I have 300 movies. So my only complexity, I'm telling you, my only complication is when a movie just simply doesn't copy correctly for whatever reason, right? Either it fails with some kind of bitsum thing, or it just won't complete because it can't for some reason read the same disc that can play in my Blu-ray player, right? I take the same disc, I put it in there, it's fine. But when I'm trying to copy it, it just simply won't copy. But that's the only complication that I've run into. So like your situation, yeah, I could see with you having, like your anime stuff and things where you, like you said, you got to actually change names because I've never done that, right? Everything I put into my Zedu, it just automatically does all that stuff. And even as far as like collections, it created collections. And I was actually surprised. There were movies that I brought later, right? And I ripped them, I copied them there. And I was so surprised when I went in to look for the movie and it was under a collection, like John Wick is now under like the John Wick collection, right? Or whatever the collection is. So I haven't had the issues that you're speaking of, but I'm not gonna like BS you and say there's never been an issue. I've had issues where there's a disc that simply will
Yeah,
not
yeah,
copy, and if
yeah.
it does, it may
It's one
skip
of
when
those
it's playing.
things where, yeah, and not that you have a small catalog, 300 discs is a lot, but whenever you have 1,200 movies and then an additional, you know 80 series, which consist of, thousands, probably 6 or 7 thousand episodes of
Mhm.
series and anime, you start to run into slight issues. Not
so
always. Once you
Now,
figure
Paul,
it
what
out, it's like, oh, okay. So
can you get all that on Kaleidoscape, Paul? All your anime and all that stuff
that's a
that
question
that you
for.
have?
I do not have a Kaleidoscape.
so they do have anime. I can't tell you exactly which ones because I'm not an anime fan. I don't I watch, Pixar and Disney and stuff like that, but I've not really sat down. Not that I probably wouldn't like it, because I like the Into the Spider Verse and stuff like that. But I know there's a bunch of series on anime that I've just never watched. But as I see the algorithm for YouTube just tanking us for talking about Kaleidoscape, I'm going to try to shift gears. But I'm going to say one thing that Paul said, that it's a lot more expensive to get into, and you don't have to find a discount to see what. But if you actually, like, I have 8, if you're going to set up a NAS and you're going to buy 8 16 or 18 terabyte drives along with the NAS, you're looking at around 7,000-8,000 bucks for a good NAS with that many bays and all that storage. So if you're trying to compare, the Kaleidoscape, yes, the Kaleidoscape's not going to hold as many as you can get on the 7 or 8 drives, right? I mean, I think I got 1,800 movies on my drives that I have. I think it's 7 16 terabyte drives, but you can get into the Kaleidoscape for that price, and then you can use their cloud as a server. So or your so-called NAS, and you can download with the new ones in like 4 minutes. So you can delete and manage your collection back and forth, and have your movie,
Uh,
right
I
there
want to
within
I
4
want
to
to
8
know I
minutes.
want to know when they're going to upgrade to 5 gig or 8 gig. Man, 10 minutes it takes to download a movie. Come on now, that should only
Actually,
take
the
2 minutes, bro.
Paul is
for,
like, Paul is like,
I'm just saying. Come on now.
Paul
It's
is like, I get my
2023.
other movies faster, man. You got
But
to do
Don,
that.
before
you
you
can't
move
you
away
can't
from
you can't
Paul,
even rip a movie that fast.
your other
Don,
movies
Dude,
only
I
last
know
2 minutes,
people will
Paul.
call me
but
and hey, I just bought this
but Don,
movie. I can get
before
it
you move away,
quicker.
before you move away from Kscape, Don, I do have a question. So for the 7 grand that you're speaking of, what size drive would you be looking at in a Kaleidoscape?
2 movies.
You'd be looking at probably an 8 terabyte, and it's not 7 grand.
Okay.
I think it's like 8-9 grand to get you into it right now. But I think you'd be looking at an 8 terabyte, which would hold about maybe 120 movies or so, somewhere around there.
Okay. Okay.
So
But then you can still put stuff in the cloud. So
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I know. You know what my issue is with the cloud, and it's just because I'm old school. I've been in computers since the beginning, right? And when we had 5 megabyte hard drives, full height, Paul, you remember those 5 and a quarter? Um,
Mm-hmm.
when I formatted those drives, and when we started to come up with actual 20 megabyte drives, though that's how that was max capacity, right? That was expensive stuff. But I hated the fact that with the operating system at the time, you had to actually create partitions because you couldn't format the full 20 megabyte. And so that drives me insane. I like everything in one place, right? So if I get one, I want the one with the 22 terabyte because I want to be able to put everything, I want to down everything that I buy, I want on my physical drive at my house. All right.
Yeah, I think that's
that's
the
what I'm
one
looking at.
Chuck is looking into.
Yeah, the 22,
Yeah.
22
Okay.
terabyte.
That's what I would be. Yeah, that's what I would want. Because that's just the way I
Because I
think,
feel like
right? That's
at that point, it's going to take me a while to get to whatever it is, 400, 500 movies, I think that's going to
And
take
like
Well,
I
me a while.
said, as long as you
what
use your
Don
Zapiti
taught,
as
yeah.
use your Zapiti for your older movies, and
Hmm.
just get the key movies that you want to demo and do scripts with on
Hmm.
the Kaleidoscape, and then move forward with all the new
Right.
movies. Then
And
it will take you a while. However,
Well,
if you just
and the other
start dumping
thing that,
discs,
yeah,
yeah, I'm
the
not
it'll
going to
other
do
fill
that
out
thing
either.
that
quickly.
Don taught me with that, which was a big negative for me because I questioned it, because I have 72 terabytes, soon to have like 128 terabytes. And Don, I don't know where you're shopping for your NAS, but they're not cheap. But I'm going to get that fully loaded for like $4,000, and that'll be 128 terabytes. So that'll be, and I'm not just doing this for movies. This is for work stuff as well. I don't
Right.
need 128 terabytes in case people are like, oh, how many movies you got? It's work stuff too. Tons of ISO.
But you also
usage
rip
and videos
differently
and
than I do.
VMs.
You rip MKV. and I
Yeah,
rip
so I don't
WAV
even
files.
need, like, I could
So,
get away with a quarter of the. I have now. I'm doing BDMVs as well, just because that's what other people
I think
like as
another
well,
thing.
the experience. But what you taught me was, even if you have a smaller drive size, you can remove some of your older movies that aren't your most watched and then download one. So you can have, like, if your storage only holds 400 movies, you can delete 100 and download another 100 and have a total of 500 still, and always
correct.
be able to delete and swap out. And that's something that isn't specifically spoken or mentioned, which to
You know,
me is kind of a big downplay, because that's a lot of people are like, oh man, I can only hold 200 movies. Reality
you know,
is we can only watch a couple, movies.
another thing people
Right.
don't talk about is you can rent movies for a couple of dollars. And I feel like there are a lot of movies that I may say, well, I want to see that, in this
Yeah,
quality,
and you get a discount
but
if you want to
I
buy
don't want
it,
to
right?
buy it. I
Correct.
want to
Yeah.
see it first. And because there are a lot of movies like I would like to see, but I know I don't really want to own it. I'm going to watch it and never watch it again.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
instead of
Yeah.
spending
See,
that, whether it's $20 or $30, I could spend $4 or $5, see it
Rent it.
with
Yeah.
all of its
Yeah.
Atmos and all of its, disc quality, and say,
yeah.
okay, I saw it, it was good, but
And
I'm
So
see,
never.
I'm
so
even
renting
I'm
renting
I
is like
even
can't, I
cheaper
can't,
than
I
that.
can't, I can't do that though. I had
I'm
a
cheaper
friend,
than that. I'll watch it for free on streaming service, somewhat
Uh-huh.
streaming
you know,
service, either
but
at a
I can't,
friend's
I can't,
house, and then decide if
I,
I want to buy it. And if I'm like, I don't like that one, I'll wait until it goes on
Yeah.
sale or
There's
buy
I
only
it.
can't
there's only a
rent,
handful
When
of
you
movies.
cannot,
but when you
I
watching it
can't
in
rent.
streaming, you're not getting the full effect of not being compressed.
Yeah, but dude,
Yeah.
here's the thing I'll say about that. Totally agree with you.
Put that
Totally
put
agree.
that
Totally agree with you. But
Okay, let's
if the
change topics.
movie
I think
if the
Chana
movie doesn't have a good storyline,
Chana just ended the case skip conversation.
Yeah.
I did
Yep.
not sign
What's
up for
that?
this help group. So let's choose. Let's
if the movie
But
let's just move
doesn't
on.
stand on its own, without being like amazing in sound or
Therapy over.
whatever,
K-scape
th- th-
therapy
then
over.
I'm not interested in it either way.
Okay,
You know.
K-scape
But you know
K-scape
what?
therapy.
I'm the
All right.
opposite though.
Here's
Okay,
the
I
deal.
so
If you
like
if
renting.
if you mention if you mention K-scape for the
Yeah,
rest of the
I
night, you got
won't.
to take a shot on camera.
You have to pay.
Um,
You have
Oh,
to pay attention to
okay,
that.
okay.
I'll just say this.
Okay.
I don't like
Starting
renting
now,
movies,
by the way.
right?
By the
Jeez,
way,
Yeah.
Fred,
I'm good. I'm good. I'm not
are
gonna
you
take
going to be the
shots.
first
I
one to
just
take a shot?
no. I'm not. I'm not. I don't like renting movies. I had a friend. One of my friends came over, female friend. She wanted to watch some Tyler Perry movies, right? And I didn't want to, but I couldn't get her to watch what I wanted to watch unless I watched what she wanted to watch. So she had me rent two of the Tyler Perry movies, right? For like $4.99, I think they were, something like that. So after we watched them, I was pissed because I'm like saying, you rent them for $4.99, but they sold them for $7.99. I should have just bought them. You know what I mean? I hate renting stuff. I hate the whole idea of renting anything. But that's it.
You know what? The
Conversation,
truth is,
discussion
you
ended.
saw that Tyler Perry movie and you were like, damn, I should have bought that. God, I should have.
I wish that were the case, Paul. I wish that were. I had to go outside and throw up a little bit in my mouth watching that, but
Okay, so I guess this will lead me to the next topic. We're just kind of going to go around. I know it's the end of the year, right? And I've been seeing a lot of YouTubers and everybody talking about their top 5 home theater gear or, equipment that they own. So let's kind of go around, right? I just want to get a feel, and don't mention
Bef-
K-scape because I think only
Before we
one
do
person.
that, if you don't mind, before we do that, I know we've had some other upgrades that Santa brought. So let's finish that real quick. I know we got off topic. Chuck, I know you had one other upgrade that you and I talked about off camera, offline. Is you had a calibration done, correct?
Yes, I have my projector calibrated,
Oh,
and
nice.
by Jason. I could never say his last name. Justul. I forget how he pronounces it, but yeah, that came out pretty good. I mean, I was impressed with that. One thing it did show me was the TV channels. If they're not broadcasting at a good quality, you see that. That I didn't notice before the calibration. Or at least maybe in my mind I wasn't looking. I don't know what it was. But I first turned on TV and I'm looking at, I don't know if it was a basketball game or something, and I'm looking at the picture like, man, what happened to this calibration? But then when I went back to a movie or I changed the channel to a better channel, I was like, oh, okay, there it is. So that was
Yeah,
one thing I learned about the calibration. But I'm
I
enjoying
think
it.
that's kind of
Now I look
typical.
at movies.
I think that's kind of typical though, because when I first remember the Sony Trinitron TVs, I had that 36-inch Trinitron. I got it and
That's his name.
cable. I got it because they had HD. You know, they had just come out with HD, and so I brought that television. And when it would switch, because it used to switch into HD mode, right? And the picture was so sharp, it was unbelievable. But when you would put on any normal broadcast, anything that was in 480p, then it was like,
Yeah,
this looks
it
terrible.
almost
So yeah, that's
enhances
kind
the
of,
bad. You know,
yeah,
Yes.
it's like
yeah.
it enhances
Yeah.
how bad it is. It's like, oh
Hmm.
man, what is going on here? But and my other upgrade was I got the two SVS SB 4000s because I have two JL Fathom F13s, and I was gonna try and put two F10s with it because I had them, but the surround blew out when I tried to get it to work. And then I thought, it was going to cost so much to fix it. I probably could have did it myself a whole lot cheaper, but your mind is like, nah. You tell yourself that's too much. That's because
That's
you
one you
want
got to
something.
send. You got to send that to Canada for Kanga to fix up there for you.
Yeah. Yeah. But I felt like the SB 4000s would be a better match for my JL. They're all 13 and a half woofers. And so those aren't quite calibrated yet, but I'm waiting to get that done.
Well, no,
And
because you canceled the base control.
yeah, no, I actually just today rebought it, because they sent me an email with a better discount. Now
Okay.
they discounted 38% instead of the 30, you know.
Oh wow.
So I was like, okay,
That's
you know.
From
that's
now
that
on, I'm
retention.
complaining about everything first so I can get 8%
It, it,
better.
well, and the sad part is and that's great, but it's the time that you already spent to deal and the
Yeah,
frustration.
Hmm.
It's like, man,
yeah,
it's like that's great, but
yeah,
when it comes to a situation like that, that's the minimum that they can do for you. It's like,
yeah,
hey, this
Exactly.
isn't working. So that tells me their instructions or UI are not efficient enough, right? I
yeah,
mean, because you're selling that you're not selling this to engineers. You're selling this to normal people that are enthusiasts.
yeah,
So maybe that's what they're banking on. It's like, oh well, if they're buying
yeah,
this, then they're pro audio people and they know all about computers, and
yeah.
that's
And that's
not
definitely not my
necessarily true.
strong point. So when I
I
had
mean,
trouble, when I reached out to support, I was shocked that every time I asked a question, it took 4 days for an answer, and that answer just led me to another question, which took
yeah.
another 4 days. You know,
Yeah, it's
and
like
after, yeah,
it's the assumption of like you're a professional craftsman woodworker, and can install a kitchen from the ground up, but someone asks you about a refrigerator, you're like, well, I don't know nothing about refrigerators. I just make this hole for it to slide into. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
And that's kind of what they might be
yeah,
assuming. So
yeah.
I just want to say
So,
hi to a couple people in the chat. Chana, thank you for joining Techno Dad. We got Eric Johnson. Thank you for joining. Rich was in here. Thank you guys. Really appreciate all the support. Um, but yeah, no, I definitely understand. Even Benny here, he says direct base control is a little bit confusing setup. And if you've not messed with that stuff before, and mess with the REW and taking measurements and everything else like that, it by far it definitely can become daunting for people.
oh yeah,
Not and honestly, I don't have a ton of experience in it because my theater's still not set up. So um, I just I've always been one that would just set up the system and let Arc or let Odyssey or Room Perfect, whichever room correction there is, just let them do it and hope that it worked out the best.
yeah,
Until I started really diving into this and got a U-Mic one and stuff like that, and then start taking a couple RU measurements, REW measurements. Then you can see how to read the graph and everything else like that. So it is daunting at first, but just like anything, once you learn the ins and outs of it, it becomes a little bit easier. I'm not saying it's easy at all, but it does become a little bit easier. So Fred, what about yourself? What did Santa bring you, or what did he inspire you to do in your room or around your gaming area / theater area?
I believe it or not, I have no new additions to anything, right? My gaming situation, as you know, I've been doing that for such a long time. There's nothing that I need there. Um, I did a lot of racing though while I was off. But also on the theater side, after we had, I guess it was the Tuesday after the Daily Show, I purchased the Dirac base control also. I also got the discount you're speaking of, Chuck, because I didn't purchase the first day because I sent them an email and complained that they weren't offering a discount for people who already owned the full full
full
bandwidth
bandwidth.
version of Dirac.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so when I told them, I said, it's amazing to me that you guys offer a discount for people who are coming in new, just like the telephone companies, right, or the cable companies. They
Hmm.
offer the discount to the new customers, but for existing customers, it's not available. And I was actually surprised because they responded back and they offered the discount code, additional discount. So then I purchased it. I haven't done anything with it. I just purchased it because I figured I'm probably going to at some point want to play around with that. So I may as well have it, you know.
Yeah,
But
at the
other
same
than that,
time.
I haven't done anything. Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
done anything. I've been just watching movies. I've watched so many movies.
That's awesome.
You know, yeah, I've
yeah,
watched so
that's
many movies. I've
good.
enjoyed it so
I'm
much.
glad.
I got to
I'm
tell you,
glad you're not having buyer's remorse from your
no way, no
tiny.
way.
What was it?
None.
140 or 142 or whatever you got?
142 inch screen. I know. I just
Yeah.
didn't make it. A few more inches and I'd be in the big league. But it's funny. I really, honestly,
Remember when
I
Fred swore
enjoyed.
with his life he wasn't going to buy a projector, man?
I did.
How
But you know
quickly life
why?
changes, man.
I can own up to that. Because you have to remember, I'm an audio guy first, right? Keep that in mind. Audio is more important to me than movies, right? I know I
Amen.
shouldn't say that
No,
I know,
amen. I'm
but
No,
gonna back
by
you
all
on
but
that
by all
one.
means, yeah. Go
By all
ahead.
means,
but
man. It's
Team
an
audio
AV
over
yeah.
show.
here.
So audio is my lifeline, right? That's everything. Um,
They
that's
don't call it
actually what got
VA,
me.
right? They always put the
Yeah,
audio first.
yeah,
It's
yeah, and
AV,
this is
not VA.
That's true. That is so true.
That
You
is
know,
true.
my audio, you see the video side of it, I got into that through audio. I've never really been a movie buff. That's why I don't have a
Yeah,
ton
I think we
of
all
movies,
do.
right?
Even with
Yeah,
the
I
Dolby
don't.
Atmos, we
Mhm.
will
And that's what.
get our
Yeah.
sound before we get a
Mhm.
projector. To me, always. The first thing you do
And
is get your speakers, get your surround, get your
mhm.
Atmos, and then you think
But you,
about the screen after. You know,
well, you know,
and that's
Chuck,
how
the
it was for
funniest
me.
thing is that I never even considered the projector. But even when
Well,
I
most
put together my
people,
space.
Me either.
yeah,
Me
people
either.
have an
This is my first
experience with
projector.
the sound. Yeah,
Hey,
Yeah.
most people
Kanga,
will
Yeah.
say
do the
something, man.
sound
I
and
see you
Oh,
thanking
it
the
just
I see you
You
thanking the
guys have
audio gods.
so
Well,
much
well,
Say
gold here
say
that I'm
well,
something.
enjoying listening.
Kanga, before you go, I want to comment on something, and maybe that'll lead you right into what you want to say. But I watched you on the show. I think it was the last show, right? It's number 6, and you said something that I've said to Don previously, and I'm sure he remembers this. I said we were talking about speakers and things like that on the Daily Show, and I said, because I'm an audio guy first, I said I've never heard a movie soundtrack that sounds amazing to me. Um, because the music isn't the focus, right? The audio, the video, the experience, the surround experience is what you're there for, right? It enhances everything. Whereas when you sit down to listen to music, yet the full focus is the music. There is nothing else. There are no other distractions. The focus is there, and so to me, it's just, I don't know, it's more of a complete experience. And with all the movies that I've heard where people have said it is unbelievable, when I listened, I was unbelievably disappointed because I'm a music guy. I'm sorry, Congo, the floor is yours.
Well, no, last week I did a little bit of a tour of both rooms. I have a theater room, which I am in, which you can barely see even with the lights on. I have all my movies, my physical discs in a rack back here. I don't have Kscape. I don't have video anything. And what I said in the music the music area of our entertainment was, for me, the music deserves better. My hi-fi system, my 2-channel room, the gear that I buy is all a higher level quality than anything I will ever buy for movies or theater or gaming. Because in my quote, I would say, well, I've never listened to a movie anywhere in any setting and listened to it and went, why does Tom Cruise sound like he has a chest cold? Or like, that's not exactly Batman's voice, or you know what I mean? Like, this version of Jackie Chan sounds weird. You never walk into a space and analyze the tonality of the movie in such a way because, like you said, it's the spectacle. It's more in theater. Another quote that I had said is, it's more about how accurate the sounds are moving around and how similar they sound when they move than it does anything else. It still comes down to the sound because your eyes are good at seeing 100%, but your ears are better at listening than anything else. You'll be more distracted by the sound being off than you would by the video being out of calibration.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
still 100% an audio guy. And if you can get that part right without the software, without the auto correction, I'm going to say anybody that's got a number of tape measures and now a laser level, you're better off doing all the groundwork and measuring by hand and eye and then trying to tweak it from that point, because the software is only going to be as good as your base level configuration. Measure it,
you
level it,
you made
make sure it's all by the numbers, and then try to calibrate it with software.
you made a great point there, where people automatically like to hear calibrated audio versus watching calibrated video, because in reality, when you go to a store, it's the uncalibrated stuff that sells more than the calibrated. It's you got to have it in vivid mode to most people because it stands out visually. As visual people, we like things that stand out, not that are correct. If you saw a one of these days, I'm sure it'll be a thing. You saw a TV that looked like the decor of the wall that matched 100%. You wouldn't, oh, I want to buy that TV, because you wouldn't even notice it. Versus something that, ooh, look at how bright this makes this look. People would flock toward that. Versus the audio, everyone knows, because visual representation is just like music, right? You can't tell someone, if you know how to play guitar, you can't tell them, oh, which notes to play in what order. Everyone has their own representation of how they want to make that sound and what they want to, represent out of that instrument.
And I
So,
mean, good quality video is only catching up with audio, right? Even when we had the old school black and white box TV, there was already high end hi-fi audio, right?
That's
We
true.
had the JVCs and all the old school classic,
yeah.
speakers were already there. It's only recently we went from 720 to 1080 and 4K
Yeah,
and
technology
other
again,
K,
it's
because I don't want to
because of
take a
our
shot.
technology
Yeah,
is growing exponentially.
yeah.
So, what was extremely difficult, you know, eh, 20 years ago, none of us could afford any of the systems we have. It would be, if we didn't have the technology that we have now, all of our systems would probably be like $2 million, and we'd be like, oh, I mean, maybe some people on here, not me,
Yeah,
can
some of them
afford it,
still are.
but they probably wouldn't, because it'd be like, no, I got other hobbies or things I want to invest in besides, home theater for that kind of money. So
Yeah.
whenever I was doing competition in IASCA and USAC, like even just a EQ or band equalizer that could do PEQs, they were like 3 or 4 grand for like
Yeah.
a 4 or 5 channel. Now you can get a mini DSP for like a couple $100, and I'm like, what?
Yep.
What the hell? Like, damn, where
And
was this
Paul,
stuff?
if you look also at wireless, right? The thing I
Mm-hmm.
remember so much about the past is that there was absolutely no way you would ever consider wireless for anything, because the bandwidth
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't there. You couldn't do it, right? And then now you can have a phone, something that's this big, and it can do full bandwidth audio over the air. It's unbelievable the way the technology has changed. It's
That's funny.
unreal.
I
Definitely.
just got through upgrading my wireless puck at the because I run Ubiquity, so I just got the AP6 from the AC Pros, because I got the new iPhone 15 a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, I can actually use the new higher speeds. So previously I was like capped at like 400 meg up and down, and apparently the iPhone is restricted on the download. I don't know if it's like the internal SSD or what, but I'm able to upload it 800 megs from my iPhone. So
That's
yeah,
always the
it's
case.
it's
You get
it's kind of a
standard
long ways.
standard
Yeah,
internet. Even here,
Amazing.
any of the deals, they'll always sell you on the download speed, but the upload speed is terrible. And as creators, most of us will know that it's not the download speed that really
Mhm.
that is significant. The upload speed is what's got us going, come on, I got stuff to do. Like, can we make
Yep.
Yep.
sure
Yep.
this
Mhm.
works? Right?
Most
And
people aren't uploading, except for the name that I will not mention, at speeds more than 300 megs. See,
Just go ahead and drink it.
no,
just
no, no.
drink.
Well, I'm already drinking, so I'm I'm
It's
I'm
the
good.
thought
I
that
So
I can
counts.
I
It's the
I've
thought.
got like a
so
few in the banks already.
Yeah.
so
Well, they
speaking of internet, since we're on that subject, I'll go ahead and talk about what Santa brought me, or what upgrades that I've actually made, and it's quite a few. And Kanga, I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I feel it's just a great segue. So, and I know I'm going to get flack for this, but
Yeah, you deserve it.
there's reason behind it. So currently, I have Comcast and AT&T at my house. AT&T fiber, 1 gig up, down, 1 gig down, and I have Comcast or Xfinity, 1 gig up and only 40 excuse me, 1 gig down and only 40 up, right? So, and that was, I have a newer house, and I guess they figured that everything was going to go to Wi-Fi 100% because they decided that it was a good idea to only run two Cat 5e cables in the whole entire house. So, with that said, uh, the internet sometimes can be a little spotty. I literally live right on the Everglades, almost in South Florida. Um, I can almost throw a rock to the Everglades. And AT&T sometimes has issues, but when it works, it's fantastic. And I've only had like two issues since I've had it in like two years, so it's not a big deal. But getting to my point is, I actually am getting rid of Comcast because I was paying $250 a month for a gig up and a gig down. I mean, a gig down and 40 megs up, and I was paying another $70 for the gig up and gig down. So um, I went to BJ's the other day, and the representative was like, "Hey, what are you using for internet?" I said, AT&T. So what are you using for, phone? I said AT&T, and he said, "Oh,
What's
okay." I s
BJ's? Only know that
BJ's
by
is
one
like
thing,
Costco.
and it's okay. That must
So
You
be an
had
BJ's is
East
to
like
Coast.
go there,
Costco.
That
Paul.
must be an East Coast thing, because in the Midwest, BJ's is totally different.
Yeah. So I said, "Look, I know I got 5 gig fiber in my neighborhood. I'm interested in what's the price?" And he's like, "Well, we can do it for $200." I said, "Okay, well, I mean, I'll eliminate my Comcast and just go 5 gig." Now I know the limitations of 5 gig and what you have to jump through to even get 5 gig, right? So, I mean, most computers don't even have the capability of doing 5 gig, and your your wiring in your wall usually isn't even capable of running 5 gig either, right? So, I had the guy move my modem to the other side of my house to where I actually in my office now, where I'm at, and I bought a 10 gig to Thunderbolt port that's going to be coming tomorrow, so that way I can literally use that directly to my MacBook Pro. And then, as Paul mentioned, he upgraded his Wi-Fi or his access point. I actually went out and bought the Deco Wi-Fi 7 um, mesh Wi-Fi routers to be able to experience that, because my phone has Wi-Fi 6 plus E or whatever, so I can experience the faster download speeds in the house. So that's one upgrade that I made. So Paul and
That's
Fred
nice.
and Ike, you can all bash me for getting 5 gig when I know I don't need it.
I would never. I would
Hey,
never
you
I
know
mean,
abuse
what?
it. I'd rather. I'd
And
rather
for
have
what
the
you
speed
were
available.
paying for the two,
yeah,
I would have told you to
yeah,
go. Well, just go with this. And depending on what
It's true.
you plan on doing with it, especially if you plan on doing any hosting, of your own website and your own. I know you've got some other business ventures, behind the scenes that,
Hmm.
hey, if you have something you share and you got 100 people wanting it, well, okay, 100 people can download at 200 gigs, you know?
Yep.
It's
Is that a
also
big
just
difference?
nice to have it because
Oh,
we know that
man.
you don't get you normally can't get everything that you pay for, right? But at least you'll be able to utilize a lot more and get full speed on the things that you're actually trying to get the full speed on, right? And I think that's
Yeah.
important. So I would,
Yeah, I
yeah, I
mean,
would definitely encourage you to do it.
yeah, with Wi-Fi, right? Everything, it's almost like HDMI 2.1, right? Everything in your chain literally has to support it because that's what the
Mm-hmm.
companies do, right? So you pay for 1 gig, but they give you a router that can only allow 500
Now,
MB pass through. So it's
Hmm.
almost like you're trying to drink from a bucket with a straw. So what
yeah,
you're
and
Hmm.
paying
and
for
just
is
just
not what
just
is
to
getting
be
ingested.
super nerdy, if you have 5 gigs, make sure that whatever router you buy is
Yeah,
capable of
capable.
doing 5 gigs with IPS on
Yeah,
it.
and that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying
it's
about the straw, right?
Because if
Whatever
you
you're
don't
using
have
to
Bottleneck.
consume it has
it,
to be
well,
capable.
but a lot of routers will say I'm 10 gig,
Nah,
but once you enable IPS,
yeah,
it now goes down to like 3 gigs actual throughput,
Yeah,
which
because
yeah.
you're
So
talking
that
about
again, that's the bottleneck, and they won't
yeah,
tell you that. They'll just be like, oh yeah, because the reality is most consumers will
don't know.
never even
They
touch
never
5
know.
gig.
So yeah, most people
They'll
pay.
never know. So, but you need to make sure that whenever you're buying the router itself, that the actual router going to your service with IPS, unless you just want to be open and take every virus and attack that is on the interwebs, you don't need IPS at that point. But once
Yeah,
you enable IPS and everything is, protected, your
Yeah, no.
throughput goes down.
This one I bought has two 10 gig ports on the back of it. So it's used for transferring files and through your
That's
NAS
nice.
and whatever else. So it's and then there's been, I haven't confirmed it, but I saw a couple reviewers. They're saying that if
Gotcha.
you hook up the Wi-Fi, you hook it up and you mesh it, and then you hardwire out of that second mesh tower, they're actually pulling the full 5 gigs out of it when they're hooking the Wi-Fi up. So
that's good.
we'll see. I'm going to test it and find out and see if it's some. Look, I'm a Best Buy Total Tech member, so I got 45 days to test it out. If it doesn't work, I can always
Yeah.
just
Hit me
downgrade
up,
back.
man. Just hit me up, and I can remote in, and we'll take a look, and
Just don't drain
hopefully
my
your
bank account.
hopefully your
That's the
switches
one
are.
guy I wouldn't want touching my network, man.
I mean, the fact that I could potentially be the Nigerian prince doesn't help, but also just you're gonna have to trust me,
Oh
right?
man.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Is there a big difference between 500 and 1 gig?
yeah,
I mean, I know
Yeah,
it's
500.
different, but
megabyte upload download.
oh
but I mean,
man. Listen.
is this something in my case? I got a simple home theater or whatever. Is this something in my case that you really would see?
Once you
I mean, if
get
you're downloading
your
movies, yes.
yeah. Once you get your new product that I won't mention, 1 gig I think is the max that they do, because
Right.
like I can send a file that's like 30 or 40 gigs in like 10 minutes,
I
and it'll
think
take
they're using
25, 30.
2.5 now.
Yeah.
2.5
Oh, they are.
gig transfers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. hmm
That's
And it
nice.
opens up, and it will bottleneck your whole entire. You won't be able to get on the internet when you download it. It will bottleneck
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, 'cause it's right. Yeah, unless you have it like
So you
assigned,
want
then
that?
it'll
You
just
want
take
that
the full
1 gig?
bandwidth.
Yep, King is right. Once you start getting into that 5 gig area, you really need to have an actual network person, say, hey, you need to allow only this much bandwidth per protocol.
Yeah, you can assign it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just reached. You guys saw me reach for something. This is just a basic switch,
Yep.
and I was looking at the port numbers and the values on it. I think that 4 out of the 5 are a certain bandwidth. The last one is actually a gig, but it's a gig max, and this is just a
Right.
switch. So this is like, passive basically. There's no. I don't think
Yeah,
there's
it's
any
not
software in
managed.
here.
It's
It's
not
just
a
a
managed switch. Yeah.
spit it out.
I
So
needed one of those last week because we have some old products, and they upgraded everything to where all the main core switches were 1 gig, 10 gig, and
yeah,
we have a device that only speaks 10 half. So we had to buy basically exactly what you were
yeah.
holding to be able to put the
So those
1
1
Like, they're like
gig
$19
into
too.
the 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can get one
So
for like
those 1
$5.
gig switch are still limited.
It's like
You're saying?
$19 with 20% discount on
Mhm.
Amazon with next
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
same day shipping. It's like
So
Yeah.
so
This
well
one just looks like it's got a gig
well
max.
here's
I
the
don't know.
thing. 1 gig in reality, you're only ever going to get like 975 megs because you have overhead because there's handshake and communication of each packet that gets
Yep.
transferred. What I was mentioning earlier is there's hardware that will say, oh, I have 5 10 gig ports. But once you turn on IPS, which is like your internet security stuff, I forget what the heck it stands for, but you want that on. That's what packet and specs and make sure that,
Mhm.
hey, this is not, I trust this, I'm blocking all this, etc. And I'm sounding like a complete moron to anybody that's a network guru. But once you turn IPS on a device, like Ubiquiti, in fact, they have a thing called like the Dream Machine Pro. It's 10 gig switch with 8 ports, but if you turn IPS on, it's only capable of 3.5 gig, and that's a $500 8-port switch. So you have to make sure that your device with all the features turned on is also capable of doing the throughput that you're
Yeah.
buying. Otherwise, you're buying 5 gig and you're leaving, 2.5
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
table. Because you
Buying
sure
buying
shit.
anything and then seeing your performance
Yeah,
tank is never really good
yeah,
feeling. You're
yeah.
like,
It's
hey,
kind of
I
like,
paid for
Oh
this.
yeah.
Why am I only getting this? And that's
yeah,
where
Well, that's
it's
like I
like buying
called the guy up. I called
Go
the
ahead.
salesman up and I was like, "Look, man, hey, I got to thinking about this. I only got 5, Cat 5e in my walls. It's not going to allow me to even pass more than a gig through it. And then, my computer, I have like it's a Thunderbolt to Ethernet adapter. That's only going to allow me to pass a gig through it at the most.
Yep.
So and that's exactly what I'm getting on a 5 gig internet right now without that additional adapter that I bought. I think it's OWS or something like that makes that 10 gig to Thunderbolt pass through or adapter. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, he you got to be careful when you like you guys said when you're purchasing this stuff, because
Yeah.
if you're purchasing an internet that's
It's kind of like
like you
buying an
said,
amplifier that's 1,000 watts, but in reality, it's only 200 watts RMS.
right, exactly.
It's like,
Yep.
yeah.
well, it's
Yeah.
1,000 watts if you liquid cool it with nitrogen. Like, I don't know if you guys are old enough to know that, but some companies actually got busted for that. They would literally bench test their amplifiers, liquid cool them with nitrogen, and run a peak value through it, measure it, document it, and then stamp it. And it's like, well, no one's pouring liquid nitrogen over their damn amplifier while they're
Hey,
listening
I'm
to
going to
it.
take the CCNA tomorrow, man, because this is now my
Oh, no
networking
way.
class.
Really?
I
Okay.
love
buckets and
car
buckets of
audio.
technicalities in
Oh my
here.
goodness.
Yeah, I love car
But
audio.
you're re-upping, right? Because I've let mine expire years and years ago. At this point, God, it's probably 15 years since I've been CCNA certified.
Yeah, I let mine
So,
expire also.
and I don't use
and
it,
that's
so it's one of those don't use it, lose it type of things. I'm like,
yeah.
man, I don't even remember the acronyms.
So I don't
So
know. I didn't get anything from Santa. I'll tell you what the Grinch took from me though. My projector is acting a fool, like really bad image quality. I think I sent pictures to Don and a couple of other
oh
people,
man,
and it was horrible.
it looks like remember the old composite cables where you had all the 5 different
Mixed up, and
composite
it's like
cables.
colorization or whatever.
Yeah, the red, yellow, and green, I guess it was, and blue. But it looks like you had them all conjumbled
It looks
together.
like
Because
my 2-year-old Picasso painting poster color. But yeah, I sent it back to Sonny for repairs, and today I just got a reply from them. They're like, "Look, we for the last 2 days they've been telling me that you know they can't replicate the issue, and I sent them pictures and everything. And just this evening, they sent me an email. They're like, "Oh, your unit has been evaluated for quality issues. We have verified your issue. However, there's nothing we can replace to resolve it. The video
Wow.
processor in this unit are of an older generation and are not able to process the higher resolution signals that is being output from newer devices. It's not a failure of the unit, but a limitation. This is a Sony 325 ES
That's a
4K
4K, a native 4K
that
machine.
just came out, what, 2, 3
Yeah.
years ago? And my
Well, what do you
daughter's
mean?
screaming
Like,
at
what
the
do
door.
you
And
saying?
Ike, it's worked before, right?
It's been
Doing the same
working, but
thing
the
has
picture
worked, right?
quality
Yeah.
just started degrading like really bad. And I called Crutchfield that I bought it from, and they're like, okay, call Sony. And the moment I sent the pictures to Sony, Sony was like, holy crap. And they were like, send this out to, I think it's called United Radio in California. They do Sony repairs. And the irony is they sent me this email at 8 p.m. and 5 minutes later I get a shipping invoice that it's been shipped back to me. So I'm like,
So they're
Oh
sending it
man.
back to you.
So
they
they're
sent
they're
it
just
back.
not even going to fix it.
They're like, there's nothing. They said it's a limitation of the 325
But
ES. And
Well, let me
so
ask
they
you.
identified
Ike,
the
but
issue. So it means there's a
Ike, I
problem.
don't understand though. This is I'm saying
Is
when
it
I
a
asked that
movie that
question,
you've
I'm
watched
saying
before with no issues? That's what I'm
Movie.
that's
wondering.
that's
I
my
tried
question.
everything.
That's what
I
I'm asking.
took my Denon 4700H out of the picture. I took my Vroom out. I did a direct connection with my Apple TV 4K with my Nvidia Shield, the Oppo 203, and the Panasonic UB. The daughter's screaming back there. But
Hey, if you
I
need to get
used,
her, that's fine.
yeah, I'll switch soon. But um, I tried all of that directly to the projector, and it was, same issues in relatively dark scenes. That's where the issue was happening. So if you're watching like a regular daylight scene, you wouldn't notice anything is wrong. But anything
What was the
towards
technical limitation that they were
they
specifically
never
saying?
explained, but that's what I thought was funny, right? They sent me
Mhm.
that notification at 8 p.m. tonight, and then sent me a shipping notification 5 minutes later. So I'm like, you didn't even call me to tell me that
Yeah,
you're
that's
sending it back.
Oh man,
So
man!
that's
Now,
them just
now,
being
now I'm
dirty.
gonna have to be a JVC fan.
Yeah. So what is going to,
this.
but you see, that's my problem, right? I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, if I get it back, when I get it back over the weekend or next week, I'm going to go into the attic, check my, wiring and everything, just to make sure before I test it. Now, my Denon 4700 is out already. Somebody bought it, so I have a new processor. I haven't even set that up yet, so
Your
that's going to
HD
be something
Fury
new.
should be able to down convert whatever you need,
Yeah.
but they have to tell you
Yeah,
what
it's
the
something is,
limitation is, because
Now we need to put
they
out
can't
10
just say,
videos.
"Oh, it's not capable." They have to tell you, "Well, what's it not capable of?" Because I bought this.
yeah,
Whether it's 4K, you know,
yeah. I
YCP
mean, that's
888 or
that's
444,
that's
whatever
the
the case
email they
may
sent
be.
me. So it's like I saw
Yeah.
it at 8 o'clock. So I'm like, really, guys? Like,
Mm.
so I'm gonna call them tomorrow, being Friday, thankfully, and be like,
Yeah,
really,
we'll
bro?
we'll we'll
So
get
why
some
did you
technical
ship it even
questions
without?
for 'em.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did. But
yeah, and
Sonny,
and
Yeah,
it may
because
be
Sonny
it,
is
it, it
probably
may
Now
be
you
losing a
gotta
true.
customer.
call all your YouTube friends. You gotta put
Oh,
out 10 videos on
trust me,
Well, no,
you.
no,
son.
no, no, no. The
Nah,
thing
I'm
is,
not even
the
that
thing
dramatic,
is,
but
Call you back
this is
and say,
this
hey,
is where
send
the
us that thing
customer
back.
service comes in.
Yeah.
They may be 1,000% correct, right? But they can't just say, "Oh, blah." Yeah, that's a limitation. You can't.
Yeah.
Well, okay. What? Tell me what I need to see, because you have a device that can literally. It's like, oh, here's the limit that this thing can take. You can make that device say, "Hey, only give this projector this."
Yeah,
You
but
know,
my
boom.
my
End
thoughts
of
are is
discussion.
if it's a native 4K chip, it should take everything that's 4K, right?
yeah,
No,
Right.
So
no,
That's
no,
what
no,
I,
no, no,
that's
no,
what I
no,
feel.
no. That's
Yeah.
that. See, that's not
And
true
it's been
because
working.
well, yeah. If it's something that was working, then
That's what I keep asking. That's my
yeah, I'm
question.
like,
Yeah, it was
Is it?
working. I've had
That's
it
the.
for
That's
bullshit.
the.
yeah,
Well,
I've
I'm
had it
saying
for a
like
year.
you
That's
watched a
that's
movie
the
that was
problem that I.
working,
That's
that
the
was
problem that I
playing,
have, and
nothing's changed.
that's
Yeah,
why I keep
yeah.
asking that one particular question, because
Hmm.
all I'm thinking, right? It's like
Well,
sometimes
something's
troubleshooting is simple,
changed.
right?
Something's changed
Yeah,
because
and what is it that changed? That's my
Yeah,
question.
something
Because
in
if
Ike's
he's
system magically changed, whether it's some, HDMI CEC thing that upconverted something that we don't know about, and
yeah,
now everything's upconverted, whether it's an app that you can only, change the settings on the web page, and at one point you changed it somewhere, and now every app on your devices is just taking that setting and keeping it, and you don't have access to it on your individual devices.
yeah.
We've seen issues like that. There's
The
all
newest thing.
kinds of things.
The only thing that I could think of new is the Z2, right? The Z9
Hmm.
Pro that I recently got a couple of months ago. But even then, you know, probably did. But I have removed all that from the chain, right? I even went directly to the Apple TV and the Nvidia Shield, right? And I get them on the same movies, the same TV shows at the same scene. So it's not like it's this random stuff that is going
Oh,
on, you
see
know?
that?
So
Yeah, okay, so it's not a random. You're saying at a
yeah,
certain
I can
scene or a
replicate
certain.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
And
that.
yeah,
Wow.
and from their
Okay.
email, when they sent it to the quality control, they say we have verified your issue. So that means they have confirmed that there is a problem.
Right.
Hmm.
However, there is nothing we can replace to resolve it. So basically saying if you have this unit, at some point you're going to run into this problem. But they're saying it's not able to process higher resolution signals from newer devices. I'm like, what's the newer devices? Is it the Z9X Pro? Is it the Apple TV
Yeah,
4K?
that's
What are you
yeah,
telling us now?
yeah.
You know,
Well,
That's
so
really weird.
this is an entirely
Chana is
different
saying
ball
you
game.
make sure you set everything to like 10-bit 444 instead of like
Yeah,
12-bit,
bit.
because
Yeah.
like my Epson, right? It's not capable of doing 12-bit. It's technically it's probably not even capable of doing 10-bit 444. But it takes the signal and it will upconvert that via the, whatever they call it. So Kanga, you're the dude that memorizes or knows everything. What's where they flip it back and forth where it's not native? What is that called?
But an
What is
upscaler.
Yeah, I forgot what the
it's
fancy term is.
it's a conversion. It's a conversion
Yeah,
process, but I think that
yeah,
instead of going up, a lot of them will go down. They'll
yeah.
probably convert them down to work in like a non-native scenario. You're gonna
Well,
down
is what they
convert them
do.
depending on the piece of
What they
technology.
do is they'll take, like, it's not capable. The chip is the processor is capable of taking in the signal, but the chip isn't capable of displaying it. So is what they'll do is they'll do like almost like an interlace thing. They'll do half of it and then half of it in such a quick way that perceivably you see 4K. It's non-native 4K, but
Yeah,
it's
you're talking
still
about the shift thing
4K.
that they do.
Yeah,
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 that's
that's
E
like
what
a
it is.
4K
4K
E
Yeah,
8K
yeah,
shift.
shifting.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the
yeah.
fancy term.
Projectors will
See,
use that.
I don't remember any of
Hmm.
these.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm gonna do is, you know, now I have a new
You'll have to
processor.
call me so I
Yeah, I
can
have a new processor in house. So once I get it
well,
back,
diagnose.
I'm going to do everything from scratch, right? Check my cabling, check my power connection,
You
do
know
everything
what I?
all the way from scratch. Because now I can't even replicate it because the Denon is no longer in house. But I can still,
Okay.
well, I can with the direct connection. So, but we'll see. I'll try everything and you
That's
know,
interesting.
and try to see if I can replicate it after they send
Yeah,
it
I'm
back.
sorry
But
you're going through that. That
yeah,
sucks. I
it's
mean,
Yeah.
well,
I
I
would be
mean, I might
screaming
end
from
up
the
with a JVC.
rooftops.
Yeah, I might end up with a JVC, but you know, it's like even if I want to get I'm not gonna get another Sony because I'm like, it might just
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
the escape route I needed. you know. So yeah, but that kind of, you know, that's kind of
If
just
you
held
have a
me down.
dedicated home theater space, which you do,
Yeah.
you know, the JVCs are nice, man. They really are. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean they're nice. So you know, so yeah, that's
It,
really. But besides that, I mean, I plan to just expand the home theater and go from a 7.4 and just go 9.4.6. That's something that I am working with on now because the processor would allow me to do that. And what else? Yeah,
You
I
still have the
have
HTTP
I
one, or
have
do you need to
the
get something else?
I have the our evolution. Sorry, what was that, Kinga?
The processor for the nine point
No,
one point six.
it's not the HTTP one. I'm still working on the video for that, but
I
I
heard if
can
you
tell you
get the
after the
Trinos,
show, but not
Oh, okay,
yeah, not on the
gotcha.
show because I'm still working on that. But yeah, then I have the Our Evolution in house for review. I've
Gotcha.
not been able to get to it because I don't have a projector. I didn't want to do it on the LG C1 because that's not going to be my typical use case. It works, but I'm like, that's not how I'm going to use it, anyways. You know, so I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
waiting on that to get.
That's important when you're setting up a system and you want to create that cohesive like synergy between all your pieces of gear. You need to have compatibility and functionality. So if it's something that's recommended or popular or does this, it really depends on like how you want it to work. How many times I've picked up something that I wanted it to do certain things, or there's something that I needed it to do, but a lot of the popular stuff doesn't do it. So you have to grab something that fits your use case.
Yeah.
I hear you. That I mean, a lot of, and it seems like video. There's a lot of problems with video because, like we said earlier, technologies are relatively new. They're emerging and changing so fast that all of the devices end over end have to keep updating and changing in order to reach bandwidths and then handshakes
no
and
one wants to agree on a standard because they feel like they're
yes,
leaving
exactly. So
money
like
on the
new
table.
technologies like that, you're going to have to be weary or at least aware of how many different stops there are between like your source and your viewing, and every one of them in between is a different sort of like balance to meet. Very interesting from someone who doesn't have anything video at all. I'm just listening to your experiences.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Your video supersedes all home theater except for in size. Because aren't you running like 240 frames? I mean, you're a gamer, so
Well,
gaming video
sort of
supersedes
yes and
any
no.
home theater stuff by a lot.
Yeah, I wanted to get one. I wanted to get at least two specs. I wanted to get at least the 120 hertz capability, so 2.1 HDMI all along the board, 120 hertz or more, and then 4K resolution that was good enough. So the TV size, no, but it like the bigger you get, the harder it is to get 120 hertz, 144 hertz,
Oh, yeah, for
at those
sure.
resolutions. So I wasn't going to go and push the technology to that point. So yeah, I mean, I'm gaming on it, and that's the one thing that's critical is the bandwidth for the refresh rate, not so much everything else. And that's even direct. I can run ARC back through the TV so the audio can get piped down to the receiver from there. The only thing I'm missing is the on-screen display. So I have one or two configurations, and then otherwise I'm good. It doesn't, to me, as long as it
Yep.
doesn't freeze up and it doesn't choke out and I don't have these handshake issues every time something changes, then
Oh,
I'm okay.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
mine to
We
where
have all these
it
issues.
works.
I feel like
Yeah.
we're used as beta before they would make a
Oh, for
product,
sure.
get it working,
For
and put it
sure.
out.
That's an acceptable thing
Now
nowadays.
they put it
Yep.
out with labels
hmm
that aren't even in the box. You know, oh,
Yep.
this is,
Yeah. Yeah.
like this refresh rate and this, and when you get it
Mm,
home, then you find out, well, actually that's coming. It's like, well,
Yeah.
wait a
It
minute.
could
yeah.
be a
I'm paying
future
the extra money.
enhancement. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
And,
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
tell you how many times.
I've
the-
totally, yeah, I've had experiences where with that, but it's all, it's part of the fun, part of the experience, getting the new stuff. So
You know,
The
so
fun,
sometimes
the
got
that
out
fun,
of
he
hand.
says. I'm going to protest that one. I don't call it
Yeah,
fun at all.
definitely. Me too.
they started that
yeah, that
started
is
that with
true.
gaming, because I remember that happening a lot with gaming. You used to
Oh
buy
yeah.
games that were complete right? Solid games. And then they got to this point where they could just like put out a game and then there was a 0 day, fix for it. And then there's a bunch of fixes that come after it. And
Yep.
so you
Yep.
get a product that's just inferior now. And then you have to wait for the updates. And audio and
Exactly.
video, it's kind of going in the same direction now. And I noticed that with my
Yeah.
AB10. I mean, that thing's had like about 20 updates so far, and it's like that with just about everything now.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
have
I
updates
bought a
Live
constantly.
Find out
updates is
ahead.
what they call it. It's such a I don't know what to call it. Subscription modeling business and live update business. It is the way that technology moves because technology can change, manufacturing can change, software can change. It's so fast now that now the end consumer is in the R&D process essentially, where
Oh yeah.
before it was you do 10 years of R&D, you test it in-house, nobody knows what's going on, you release it, and then the next thing will take 10 years. Well, now that loop is so short. Well, I don't know whose fault that is, the manufacturers or the consumers. Be like, I want it now. Like,
Well, they're cranking
which
out
one of us
TVs
is
every year.
responsible for that? But it's true. We're
Yeah.
part of the R&D now. So even
Yeah.
I'll bring up something really cheap audio. Fosse amps, which are, I don't know where they're made. I don't care. There's version 1, 2s, and 3s. And even the newest ones will take advice from YouTube influencers to redesign the next version. And then they'll sell another version. When has that ever been a thing like that? I think that's rather
I mean,
incredible. But
Denon is doing the same thing. Denon and Marantz. They,
yes,
I know,
Mhm.
Audioholics Gene has asked for several things to be done to where you can turn off the amplifiers and use it as a preamp.
yeah, preamp
And
mode for the
they,
newest version.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, they it's good that they're doing this in a way, you know what I mean, that they're actually taking the advice, because look, you can't think of everything, right? When
No,
you're designing these products,
Yeah.
there's always going to be a different use case for each individual, right? For the most part.
yeah,
So, it but yes, you're 100% right. I bought a new TV for our setup, for my streaming setup here, and first thing I did was, when I turned it on, it's update, right? Yeah, right away is update.
Hmm.
So I didn't spend a lot of money on it. I just got, and I'm very surprised that they can even make a TV for this price. I bought the TCL that has it's 4K. It's got a Dolby Vision and everything else in it. And I'm just using it as a monitor right in front of my camera, so that I can actually look into the camera rather than looking down at my laptop, right? So I'm using that as backer, looking at you guys, and it was $185. How the hell can you
Wow.
even make a TV for $185? I
I,
couldn't
I
even
know
put
if
the
I had to build one from the ground up, I couldn't do it for $185.
exactly.
I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
well, they
I don't
buy in
understand.
bulk, they print in bulk, they have so many different side businesses that that's the thing. Like as consumers and even as dealers or marketing, that kind of thing, that when you get to the manufacturing side, it's like a whole other circus. And I've only ever seen it well, I kind of see it any job that I've had, and I've only seen it in audio once, but I can tell you there are so many tightly closed curtains to protect kind of how that works that we'd all be surprised at how that actual mechanism functions. But yeah, the pricing versus what's going out, it's like when you buy food in bulk at Costco, you get it all at a discount. And that's kind of how it works, but you're talking about a matter of scale. That would be my opinion. They're getting away with that and then figuring out the
Yeah.
financial side of it everywhere else. Like maybe they're more
Scale is a
expensive
bit
TVs. They're
scale
taking
is
more
a big
margin.
thing, and going to other places that already have the assembly set up. That's why you
Mhm.
see a lot of things that look exactly the same. Well, because they are. Because someone
Hmm.
paid to have the milling and all the stuff created that allows a product to be made, and they just,
Hmm.
quality
Yeah,
controls
different
maybe not.
manufacturers. Yeah, different
It
manufacturers slap their
same
names on them.
same
Yeah.
assembly line, right? Because
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what it.
it's funny. I bought a hood right for the kitchen and for the over the stove because there was a white one and I wanted it to be like brushed like the rest of the appliances. So I decided to buy one. So I'm looking on Wayfair and you know, they had all these different units, and I found one that I really liked, right? I'm like, oh, I really like this one because it had like this fancy display. It had like these touch like controls where you can kind of gesture to make the fan go lower and higher. It had all those crazy stuff. And then I looked, and there was another one, and it was like a lot more, but it looked almost exactly like it. It had the
Yep.
exact same display. And I'm saying to myself, yeah, all these things, like you said, they're mostly made by the same manufacturers, you know, in the plants, but they have different branding on them. But those things are mostly
hmm
the same. It's like when you look at
A,
the
a lot
OLED
of it's the same,
televisions.
but it's not. It's not like
Yeah.
sometimes they are, but a lot of the times,
Mm-hmm.
like that's a perfect example, right? The stamping where it's made exactly the same, like the manufacturing plant's the same, but
Mm-hmm.
company A has 1/8 inch stainless steel versus
Mm-hmm.
we'll do 1 millimeter aluminum over here. Boop. That's a made up you know big difference there, but that's what happens. You start getting
Yeah.
into, like, even in audio amplifiers, right? You can have an audio amp that's exactly the same design technically to the T. One will use capacitors that are just barely in spec, while the higher end will be, hey, I can take a power surge of 400 volts and I'm still going to work. I don't give a shit. Like, you do whatever. This thing's going to last forever, but you're paying for that, right? So you have
That
to
brings me
decide.
right to a topic I was going to mention for purchasing and buying in home theater and devices. It applies to TVs. It applies to a lot of the electronics like TCL or Hisense or like any of those screens, monitors that are getting more budget, who the panels are made by. There's a couple of guys that will focus on those manufacturers and who bought what. Some of those details will count before you go and buy. You can check it out. But also in like the processors, budget processors, there was some accounting of that brand called Tone Winner. Tone Winner is made in a certain place, and now their boards or designs are actually found inside of multiple other chassis. And you're right, they will change. For example, not in the same category, but say if you have a version 1 and a version 2, which happened a lot in the last few years. If you guys see, there's Mark 2s of a lot of stuff. A lot of that happened in integrated because the AKM chip manufacturing plant had their fire and the supply chain was cut off. So a lot of them had to make Mark IIs. But in that process, what they did was rework some of the electronics, the power supply, the capacitors that they could use. They had to reconfigure for the DAC chips, whatever. So V2s end up being almost the same typology or like how it's made, but you get an upgrade or a downgrade or shifting in some of the capacitors. You can see it in some of the chassis, like the open top chassis pictures.
Perfect example, but for a different
So
reason. It's like lack of the product to build it.
yeah,
It's like, oh, we got to
So
redesign a
you
little
want
bit.
to. I was weary of this and aware, trying to monitor like what a version 2 entails, like how much is actually changed. But for that reason too, like, how much is actually changed from the bare bones? You know what I mean? If you're buying TCL and it's this as a TV, but then you buy LG and like, what did LG as a brand include? What do their boards have on it? What kind of chips did they use? Are they better spec chips? Is there more longevity in something that they're using? It's hard
I,
to
I,
know,
I
Yeah.
but
literally have
Sometimes,
two.
I think you
sometimes,
see that with
yeah.
products from
Sometimes,
store to
mhm,
store. You could get a
mhm.
TV from Best Buy, get a TV from
Exactly.
Costco. They look
Yep,
identical, but
yep.
But they
the
have different
labeling
model
is the
numbers, right?
They have one,
UR70U
yep,
and the
Right.
one little different model
Because
number.
UR70T,
they,
and it's a
Yep,
because
cheaper um chip or something that brought the
yep,
price
mhm,
down,
yep, yep,
yeah.
but it looks
exactly. Yep.
identical, like you
If
said,
you if
you know.
if
Yep.
you look at OLED televisions, right? We know that Samsung now has the QD OLED, right, screens,
hmm
right? But LG makes all of their WOLED screens, right, for everybody, right? So Sony uses
hmm
that screen, but they have a television that's considered superior, right? But because it's their
Yep,
processing and stuff
yep,
like that. But the panel is just an LG panel. That's all it is. LG's the
Yep.
only one that
yep.
makes it,
Yeah, I
right?
think LG is the only one that makes the OLED panels, right?
LG's
I don't know if
talking about not
Samsung. Yeah, everybody buys
LG's
from them.
talking about not making high-end TVs anymore, just making the panels.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
it makes
The,
sense
the,
Way
you know,
to
for
there,
a
Hey,
I'm
manufacturing.
I
actively
mean,
buying them.
I thought they already had
Yeah.
a division that does that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
It's a
because
separate company
yeah, it's a
actually.
separate
Believe it or
Yeah.
company that
not,
makes the
yeah, it's a
OLED,
separate
the
company.
panels.
You have LG Electronics, and you have LG. I
Yep.
forget the other brand, but they're actually two separate companies.
Yes, two separate
Do you know
companies.
LG has to buy? They buy. I
Yeah,
know it's
they
funny,
they buy
but
from the
they
panel
buy the
company. Yeah.
panels from the panel company,
Mhm.
along with all
Yeah.
the other
So it makes
manufacturers.
no sense for them to want to scrap, making the LG. We need them in the market because I don't trust
You,
Samsung, man.
I know,
Yeah.
and
No.
Well,
Samsung,
yeah,
you got to
yeah,
keep it.
yeah. I
Well,
hear
you know,
you.
the funny thing
I
about
don't trust
Samsung is that
Samsung.
I have both, and I think we know the Samsung TVs with their QD technology, their crystal, whatever they call that thing that they have on the front, quantum dot. Um, their TVs are good. I don't have a problem with them, but they are super saturated. I mean, super saturated, right? But a lot of consumers like that, and that's why Samsung is number one, right? Because
Yeah.
consumers, as much
Permanent
as we
vivid
talk about
mode.
accuracy, yeah, exactly. As much as we talk about accuracy, consumers just like colorful televisions, and that's it. You know, the
I was
brighter,
just talking
the more
to,
vivid. That's what they want.
Yeah.
I was just talking
Yeah.
to
This
my wife
idea of having
today
like a shell of a
about
product,
a
it's
TV.
I will always advocate for the same thing in a lot of my videos, and whether it's an audio video or anything you're learning in general, is if at the base level you understand what it takes in order for something to operate, what the basic function of it is, like if it's the same panel coming from the same manufacturer across like 3 or 4 different TV manufacturers, why do they look different? Like, what's the processing doing? What's the software doing? What are the other components that are involved? I mean, and then it's not so much a debate of who made the TV. It's more like it turns it into a matter of education of what makes a difference in the TV, what function of the TV, what chip is it, what other types of components is it that makes this difference. So like if we go back to Ike, for instance, and having a technical problem with video and what is happening to the TV and like where there's handshaking or glitches actually happening. It's like troubleshooting in any hobby to figure out where the problems are and then to actually educate on purchasing better. If you understand how each of the things work, how it's supposed to work, or the fundamentals of how to set it up and to calibrate it, then your whole journey is better served by learning the basics and the fundamentals of each of these types of disciplines. You'll be better off in putting them together, balancing them, calibrating them, and vice versa. And I'm going to bite a bullet
Yeah.
here, but like who in media is talking what, like who really knows what they're talking about and who
Yeah.
doesn't. If you apply it to a reference like science and physics, then you know who's on the ball and who isn't right off the top.
Mhm.
That's
Yep.
right.
something I will say all the time. Like I don't expect people to believe everything I have to say,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
would like to speak to a point of education where they can look it up and they can verify it and they can see that it's factual or not. And then it's the whole hobby and the whole community is better served by having more education based on what we're looking at, because we're all going to have issues.
Yep.
Yeah. For
That's
us extremists, yeah,
that's
we
beyond saying. We've
definitely,
seen that here.
definitely.
Everybody's got something that they've had to reach out and ask for help for. So
Yep.
understanding the
Oh,
fundamentals gets you better to like closer to an answer. So it's one thing
and
I advocate in everything. So
and the
it's not just
older
a
you
channel.
get, the more you're willing to ask questions, because it's like, I don't even want to spend the time researching this. Like, I'm just gonna ask, like, hey Chuck, how do I make this dovetail? Like, what tools do I need?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just ask. I'll be like, hey, you've done this a million times. How do you do
Yeah.
this?
I would
'Cause it's like, I
much
don't want
sooner
to spend
ask
10
someone for
hours
like
on
a hex
YouTube
security
figuring
bolt
it
than
out.
to how to do it.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
what was what's the next thing that everyone's upgrading for the new year? I think that's a
Oh, I want
Well, that's
monoblocks.
monoblocks. That's
oh
right. You did mention
man.
Yeah, you did
monoblocks.
Oh
speak
man.
about them. Yeah.
So which
Yeah, I
monoblocks
didn't
Any
were
particular
you
brand?
I don't quite have what it takes just yet, but I'm looking down the barrel of this new double shotgun and looking at monoblocks like, is this really what I need? And I get two sides of the coin. And people have said, even people who own monoblocks have looked at me and said, you don't need monoblocks. Get a good stereo amp. These days they're good enough, and you're not paying all the extra for an extra chassis and extra
Yeah.
electronics. You're paying for 2 power supplies for essentially the same quality. And I look at their system and say, well, you have monoblocks. What are you telling me I don't need them for? So
Yeah,
I'm looking at the
sometimes it's just,
technology
yeah,
Because
I
they
want
didn't
it,
hear a
right?
difference.
behind
Well,
monoblocks.
the advantage, regardless of, technology now, the advantage of a monoblock, regardless on a technical level, is if something goes wrong with a monoblock, you replace the one monoblock. you know.
But
Yeah, well,
there's also
separate.
there's
Yeah.
another thing that the purists love to talk about, Paul, that you cannot forget. And trust me, I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just, saying one of the reasons
Oh
that
yeah,
people
no,
buy
no, no. All right.
monoblocks.
I,
Separation, complete separation of the channels. There's no way that you can get, right. So it's
No
kind of like when you
crosstalk.
think about, exactly, no
oh
crosstalk, and that
yeah, I got you.
is
I got
one
you.
of the,
But what?
right.
But do
So,
they have
but I'm
separate?
not
Are they?
saying, but Paul,
Are they?
Paul,
Are they separating? Do they
still
have a
going into the
left
same
channel
preamp.
tape and a right channel tape?
Exactly. There you
Because
go.
it's
And
processing
that's why I'm the
somewhere
first to say,
Are there
Paul, that's why
that
separate
I'm the first to
starts
DACs?
at a
say,
single source.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
now
I'm
but
talking
they do
about
have some, a
dual
lot of them
dual
have
DAC,
separate
dual
DACs,
differential
dual DACs.
DACs.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I do. Like
admittedly, yeah,
I have
older
the,
technology, that was a big thing especially in
yeah.
some amplifiers. There was
Hmm.
absolutely crosstalk in some
Hmm.
old. We're talking analog class A, max. If you had 15 watts, you had a friggin' heater that could heat a 1,200 square foot house
They still make
type
them.
That
of,
is true.
you
They
know.
make new
That's true.
ones actually. There's a Musical Fidelity
Yeah.
A1 that they just relaunched, and it's been literally on fire. It's
What
it's
kind of
really
area is
made
it coming
a
from?
great impact as like because the technology and the ability for them to do Class A technology now in a traditional way, but with new tech. The new version like far outweighs the older one. Not only is it nostalgic, but to do 15 watts pure Class A in a
Wow.
small integrated that way, it suits almost all of most people's listening needs very, very well. And Class A is what it is. I can't speak to how it functions. We don't have that much time,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're still making them. So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
What
my
kind
amps
of
are
When I,
area is
still
it coming
class
from?
A, B, so they are what they are. They generate some heat though.
yeah,
Now,
when I
Chuck,
was
you
younger,
went
when I was
from
much, go ahead,
Chuck
John.
Yeah,
went he
I
went
went
from
from the
the
Parasound
Parasound,
amp
yeah.
to the Buckeye amps, and
oh, okay, Purify
I
modules.
can't say, yeah, I can't say that I've noticed a big difference. Now,
Well,
kind
the
of,
heat output would be a big difference, but yeah.
right, yeah, and that was the main reason I did that, is because I was now getting into a projector, which I hear is I know now too, but it puts out a lot of heat. And I
Yeah.
had 4 Parasound amps. I had the 2 channel, 3 channel, 5 channel, and another 2 channel.
Oh
So to
yeah,
go
if
from
you had all
4,
Parasound, you
yeah,
would literally have to have a air conditioner in your
So
rack dedicated.
yeah, so when
to
you
You'd
go
have to
from
have a
four
finalized
mini
your
Class
movie
split.
theater,
ABs
you bought
to
new
2,
towels and swim trunks because
yeah.
you weren't wearing
Yeah,
them
exactly.
before.
So that was the biggest reason I changed, was to go to
The
Class
heat
D and
dissipation.
and,
Yeah.
and get some of that
And then
heat down,
save on
because I'm
energy and
introducing a
heat.
projector now. You know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I've been into audio for a long, long, long time, and I've always considered myself to have pretty decent ears and also pretty trained ears when it comes to music, right? And I've listened to so many amplifiers, power amplifiers, not talking about anything else now, but power amplifiers. And I swear, I have not noticed any major difference in sound on power amplifiers. You know what I mean? If they work correctly, they work, right? So when back in the day, when Class A was all the rage and all they did was really generate a bunch of heat, um, it was just funny. Like I listened to a Class A, I listened to a Class AB, and then Carver came out with, I forget what his topology was. But you guys, I don't know if you remember, if you're young or old enough to remember the Carver amplifier, the square cube.
I remember
It
them.
generated like some
Can't
outrageous.
remember what it's
You
called
remember
though.
that? It generated. Yeah, I had that. It was like it was like gold or in color. Like I had that.
Yep.
I remember seeing that tossed in the basement at my old house.
I had an
But yeah,
old
so
Altic Lansing amplifier
I'll
that
take Lansing.
when you powered it on, it
The
literally
lights
made the
dim.
entire house lights blink. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe I
absolutely,
shouldn't be. I was like,
absolutely.
good God, like that's
All
insane.
of the old equipment was like that, Paul. I
Yeah.
mean, it was funny because you turn it on and
It
you knew
weighed
the
like
lights were gonna flicker a
150
little bit.
pounds for this 2-channel amplifier.
Yeah,
It was the most
yeah.
inefficient. Like now, you probably get more wattage out of my cell phone,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Though, I've always wanted, and this is just a want, something that when I was younger, I wanted, right? When Krell amps came out, their power amp, I always wanted those, right? I
Oh
remember
man,
the
now
first time
you're
it came out,
talking
and I
my
was like,
language. Those are
yeah, I was
I like
always,
those better. As far as amps, I like those. I love the Marantz lights, but as far as just if I was a 2-channel audio snob, I would go Krell. I would Krell
oh my
all day.
goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those I don't know what it
unbelievable.
was about the Krells, but I was like, oh man, that's some cool
Well, they were
technology going
huge
on
for a reason. They were like basically space heaters.
there.
Pure
Yeah,
Class A
yeah.
space heaters is what they
hmm
were. So that,
Yep.
and it's interesting that you're saying that Chuck's gone from Parasound, which is a very notable, high quality sounding amplifier. I looked at the specs recently. Their gain
So
staging's
you
really
went
good.
from
Their
knowing
distortion's really good.
you
And then
went
to
from a
go
good
to
system to
like
a bad.
purify modules and hear no difference, that's
Yep.
pretty, that says something.
Yeah.
You say, well,
Yeah.
now at what
But
level do you need to
Parasound
get
is a
to
great
actually hear
Parasound
a
are great
difference?
amps. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I always thought they were great amps. I never had any problems with them. They work,
yeah,
So
those are
But
some
what I've heard about the
amazing ones.
power sounds though is that they generate hiss. Did you experience hiss
I
in
didn't
your
experience that
speakers?
either. Nope, I didn't. I
Okay,
had
I've
one
heard they got
sub.
a low noise floor, but I've also heard that they do experience hiss in the speakers, like just a very low hiss.
And
But I'm
I'm
not
A lot
sure.
of
wondering,
It
them do.
it may depend on the sensitivity of your speakers too, Don.
yeah,
If you
or
contribute to it.
devil's advocate, a true
I have the Paradigm speakers, the founders, and they have a great sensitivity rating. They're in the
Okay.
92, 93.
91, 92, yeah.
well, a
Yeah.
lot of the
Yeah. So
times
you
if you
were
get an
so you were good.
amplifier that has a true RMS, like you might have some amps that'll give you power wattage, but it's it's really only doing 20% of what's advertised, whereas Parasound is pretty accurate on what they provide.
Oh yeah.
So in
Yeah,
that
they'll give you
case,
2 channels full driven kind of
yeah,
power specs. I mean,
so in that
I have
case,
Rotel in my system and they hiss a little bit, but the noise is coming from the preamplifier, not the amps.
yeah,
I've
and that's the
actually
other thing
narrowed
you
it
got to
down.
make sure, because it's
But
like, oh,
compared
hey,
to
I'm
the store,
5,000 watts sitting here warm, so yeah, I'm going to amplify whatever the hell is on this line. So that devil's advocate, that could be a thing. What other besides your mono blocks, Kanga, or do you have anything else on your list? Like surely you have, or maybe not. So
well, I just got the Arundel Sound 1723 THX towers, so they're just about in line with what I wanted from a tower. They're 3/8, 2.5 way, or 4/8, 2.5 way driver arrangements, 92 sensitivity. They fulfill almost everything that I would want in a speaker, to be honest. So I can probably sit on those for a while.
nice.
The mono blocks has started to creep in because the amplifier I'm using is a 5-channel Rotel amp, and each channel is rated for about 120 each, all driven. So it's got a big toroidal, it's got a big capacitance, but it's separated into maximum of 120 per channel.
Yeah.
Now, what I've done is I'm bi-amplifying each of the towers off of 2 of the modules each tower. So the woofers are on one module or one channel, and the tweeters and mids are on the other channel. So each tower is getting a max of a theoretical 240, but as we'll go back to separation, they're still
Right.
feeding off of the same base
Same.
power supply.
Yep.
So that worked because I wanted to go to a separate system, and the amp was $100, not $100, $1,000. I had a zero. So 5-channel Rotel for 1,000 in my local area. I couldn't say no. So I have my separates. The preamp is their 1590 Mark II, which is the newest sort of flagship below their Diamond series, which is also below their Michi series. But we're talking about a difference of $3,000 if I wanted to move up. So I was like, okay, this one's good enough. It's got a really good brand new 32 Texas Instruments DAC, which,
Ooh.
by the way, is going to be America's new DAC manufacturer for
Yeah.
the foreseeable future. They've got a facility going up in Texas that will be amazing for keeping the supply in line.
Yep.
I know that there's debates about which DACs sound good, this and that. I like an ACAM, to be honest, because I like an Obsidian scalpel. But if I can't get it, then the other device that I might get, because the Rotel RC1590 Mark II has XLR inputs, I can get a balanced DAC to go into the preamp, and I may go that route as well as my monoblocks. But I'm iffy. There's a number of them out there. Musical Fidelity makes, I think it's an M3 or a MX3 DAC, an M6 DAC. Both of those are okay, but I think they use ESS. There's a new Gashelli Labs DAC that's in the works that they're making. That's going to be a really interesting unit. They're using the AKM DAC. So I may have to play with those, because we'll go back to the idea, like Fred was saying, in the years of listening to audio, you heard very little difference in power amp sound per se. If they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, there shouldn't be a sound difference at all. Now, that's debatable depending on the measurements that you'll get, but DAC sounds and the way that the DACs are built, like with their power supplies, their chassis, that kind of thing. Then there's lots of expensive DACs. I think that putting a DAC in the chain for streaming, or even as a DAC for the transport CD player I have, which is the Rotel CD11 Tribute, going coaxial into the DAC before the preamp might be the other addition to the system this year. It's debatable, but I do think that it'll be one of the other significant changes in sound that I could get. Like I said, with 92 dB sensitivity in the speakers, I'm going to be able to hear just about any dynamic change. So I'm looking forward to experimenting with that, especially with, I mean, the Musical Fidelity M700s or 700Ms are roughly 700 watts into 8 ohms, 1,000 into 4 ohms monoblock amps. So I should be in a really good place if I can score those. I shouldn't have any audio problems after that at all. So
Nice.
cross my fingers, I don't blow anything up.
How about
Yeah,
you, Chuck?
that
Are you
Yeah.
looking at anything?
No, not really. Well,
well,
just finishing up the back, Don shot me some pictures of a bar that, like a tabletop that I want to put behind my chairs and put, because I don't want to do the second row with a riser. I just
I'm
want
not a furniture dealer.
thin, yeah, I just want a thin, tight table. I could set some bar stools there, and when my kids come over, you know, there'll be some seating that they can be centered on the screen as opposed to sitting off to the sides, you know. And because I don't, they are coming more now that I got the screen and everything. But at the same time, I feel like I'm the main person in here. I just need this one chair. And so I'm trying to go that route instead of having the riser and eating up the whole back of my room.
Mm.
I'd rather have a refrigerator back there with my beer and my water, and
Amen to that.
yeah, yeah, didn't have a couches that nobody's sitting in, you know.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah, I'm doing a riser in mine with a so in the front row I'm doing a couch so that you can lounge, you can kick your feet up, you can do whatever. And when I want to do the more critical listening, I'll move to the theater chair. And who knows? The couch is a low back. Maybe that might be the critical listening spot because I won't have anything blocking my ears from the couch. So it's going to be set up. The main listening position is going to be set up from the front at the front couch. So,
yeah,
but I'm going to have a preset where I can move it to the back. When I want to sit in the couch. I mean, into the theater
and, I,
chairs.
and the funny thing is, I have a table back there with a chair, little computer desk chair, because when I'm eating, instead of sitting in this chair, I sit back there because I got carpet in the front and
Mhm.
towel back there, so it's easier to eat back there if I'm dropping anything. But I find the sound back there actually sounds pretty good, you know. So I feel like, with the bar thing and everything, they're gonna have great sound, just as good as my setup is right here in the main listening position, you
I gotta
know.
ask a quick question. If you have
hmm
the founders across the front, I imagine you have matching 3 across the front.
Well, I have the center though,
Yeah,
because I
that's
don't
what I
know
mean,
about.
series matching.
Oh yeah, yeah, yep.
What are you using for surrounds? Because I know they don't have surrounds yet.
I have the B40s, the founders
Okay.
bookshelves, and then all of my surrounds are the A80As. They're the
Oh, okay.
angled baffles. And actually, I just added two because I'm now going to a 946. And I'm going to turn my computer around because I just put these in, I think, yesterday. I don't know if you
Oh,
can see that.
nice. Yeah,
So,
zoom in on that.
so you're trying to be like me, Chuck. You go 946.
Ah,
Yeah.
you
Oh, okay.
guys.
I gotcha.
Copycat.
Actually,
Old,
let me turn the light
old.
on. Let me get more light.
That's a clever idea for surrounds. Just using in walls and then mounting them in a certain configuration.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
when I do my
these things are angled.
Yeah,
when
that's
I do
true
my
too.
theater tour, I was going to show something just like that. So
Oh yeah,
Oh
those are
yeah, with
nice.
the
And that's
angled
like a
tweeter,
5 and
right?
a quarter with a floating tweeter.
Yeah, they're actually 8 inch. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Are they 8s? It's hard to see
Yeah,
on video.
well,
Yep.
they claim they're 8s. They're 12-inch round altogether,
Uh,
but they're
Yeah,
claiming the 8 inch with the tweeter floating out
floating
front.
tweeter. Yeah.
Yeah, in front
Uh,
of it.
confession, I used to work right across where they were made for 2.5 years, so I know all about them.
Yeah, and they're
The
nice. And I have
founders too.
those.
I saw those before anybody outside the factory ever did. They were quite fascinating to watch. The subs too. Their new XR subs that they came out with.
Yeah, I heard great things about those.
Yeah, I
And I
remember
have
being in
I got
R&D a number
6
of
of them in
times
the
and
ceiling.
watching that process go down. And what they were comparing them to, which I can't tell you. Pretty interesting process, let's say that much.
Yeah.
So that's
So
why
I
I
got
wanted to
6 in
ask
the
about the
ceiling and two
surrounds
on the
because
walls
I
there.
know the series doesn't quite have anything yet. I've seen a lot of people use the Prestige 25s, which are the triangled sides.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
don't match sonically, I'm going to say. The Prestige and the Founders don't sound quite the same at all. I think the
right.
Prestige have much more pronounced top end, a little bit
They do.
unrefined per se. The Founders are more neutral off the top. I had the 40Bs a number of years ago, so I'm familiar enough. I've heard them in
Yeah,
stores, but yeah,
that's what I
that's why I
came
wanted
from.
to ask what the solution was.
Yeah, I came from the Prestige line, and like you said, they definitely have a lot more on the top end. These are definitely a lot more neutral.
Yeah, you listen to them a lot longer, turn them louder, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. How
Yeah,
about
I
you, Paul?
admired
What
them,
you
but
got?
I won't ever own another pair.
Oh man, let's go to Fred, man. I want to know what
Oh man.
I talk.
If we go to
You don't
Fred,
get
we're not
me
going to get to
talking.
everybody, man.
Oh yeah, that's true.
so,
I
so,
forget.
so
I
let's
forget he's
let's
the
get
only one that can
let's
talk
Look,
more
Fred
I've
than
has
been
been
me.
pretty good
quiet
tonight. I've been
tonight,
pretty good
actually.
tonight.
yeah,
But
let's
I was going to say to Kanga, I have the 1723s also. The towers that you have. I don't. You have them in white. I have them in black. And then I have their center also, the 1723 THX center. And then for
Yep.
my surrounds, I have the 1961 monitors.
Right.
And then up top, I have 6 of the 1961 bookshelves. Right. So
Okay.
we have similar speakers.
Very
And
nice.
as far
And
as
that's
music goes,
the full THX towers, not the S towers.
yeah, no, I have the full THX towers. Um, And it's funny because when it comes to music, which is my first love, I love them. I really
They're
do.
good.
You know, I love them. I love them because here's the thing. When sometimes like some speakers, they may have like an enhanced high end, an enhanced low end, pronounced bass, recessed mid range, pronounced mid range, whatever. And you could like them for a lot of reasons. I like these because I listen to a lot of classical, I listen to a lot of jazz, I listen to a lot of acoustic stuff, and my goodness, are they good? I got to tell you,
Yep.
trumpets, horns on these speakers amaze me because with most of the time when you have instruments that like a trumpet, anything that can tend to be harsh, it really in a lot of speakers it's just not good, right?
Yeah, they get
And with
shrill really
these,
quickly.
exactly, and with these, I swear the sound is produced so naturally. I'm amazed. I'm
Yeah.
truly amazed.
What's your stereo signal chain? Just summarized, so we get an idea what's in the chain to get that sound.
Okay. So of course, like those are my transducers, and then for my preamp is the AV10, the Marantz AV10. But for music, I'm using the Eversolo DMP A6 um, XLR into the Marantz, right? So I'm only using analog XLR from that,
So ever solo back.
and
Okay.
mhm. And then for the amplification, the main amplification for my 2-channel sound is the Emotiva. What is it? The 5 Gen 5. What is this? The XPA
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 Gen
5.
5,
5
yeah.
Gen 3. Yeah, Gen 3. So that's my main power, and then I have like I think 3 of those basics amps for my
Okay.
surround stuff.
To
I
fill in the
have
rest. Okay. So it's
yeah,
a
I have
XPA
a A3.
XPA
Hmm.
5 channel that you're running 2 channels for just the main. So it's like music and movies in one kind of theater.
Yes, and
Okay.
and so that amplifier, of course, has my surrounds and my rears connected
Right.
to it also, right? Because
Right.
the surrounds, the center, and the 2 front channels, right? Because it's 5
Okay.
channels, and then
Running 2
everything else is
channels,
being run off
it's
of.
basically running like I have my 5-channel amp running 2 speakers, but I've bi-amplified them
Hmm.
because I'm not using the other channels. And you've got the
Hmm.
similar 5-channel amp running 2. So all of this channel. Okay. I just wanted to understand kind of like what amplification. I was looking at Emotiva just to cut in because they make 2 different kinds or 3 different kinds of monoblocks.
Hmm.
4 different kinds. Yeah, I was right. So the basics A1, I think, or A whatever it is, they have a mono. Then there's the HTC one, which is their narrow chassis monoblock. Then they have an
Hmm.
XPA one, I think. And then there's the DR3, the differential powered monoblock.
Differential.
So they have
Hmm.
4
Hmm.
different monoblocks. So I had Emotiva on my
Did you see
radar
the
for monoblocks.
Did
Just
you
wanted
see
to
I
the
have
kind
the
of
power rating on
DR3.
the DR3? Have you seen the power rating on those differential amps?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
650 watts.
But I mean, I said I'm looking at Musical Fidelity 700Ms, which are 1,000 watts. So,
Okay,
it's
okay, okay.
So
it's
here's the
Yeah,
more
thing
because that's
for
about
a
me,
that.
it's
When you're
more
looking
about
at those
their
wattage,
capacitance and clean sound, like what their other
hmm
spec rating is, their lowest distortion,
hmm
their THD, their gain staging, like how that's all set up. For me, that's going to make a bigger difference in the topology than it is going to be the watts rating. Because I
yeah.
mean, really,
Hmm.
when you're listening at what like 60, 80, not even 80 dBs for music. You're listening at 70 dBs. How many watts are you really using? So then it's not
Right.
about
Not a
the
lot.
watts. It's more like, what's your
That's right.
capacitance and control rating? What's your damping factor?
Mhm.
What's the gain staging for the noise floor? Like, it's these other types of nitpicky numbers that I'm looking at. So the watts don't impress me. I mean, Audio Note
Right.
UK amps operate at 8 watts on tubes, and I've never heard anything better in my life. So
Yeah.
it's not the watts to me. So
Yeah, and like
Agreed.
I think we mentioned this in the last show, to gain 3 dB, you got to double the wattage, right? So, you start off at 1 watt, depending on what your sensitivity is and how far you are away. You, it plays at, let's just say you're 91 dB sensitive, right? So 1 watt gives you, it won't give you the full 91 because you're not within a meter from the speaker, right? So that's going to degrade. And then,
Mhm.
if you want to go,
Well,
if you want to
a
go again,
true
then it,
audiophile listens at exactly 3 meters with the speakers right in the middle of the room. So, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be an audiophile, don't you know, don't bury yourself by talking about wattage, because it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, because the reality
no.
is everyone can have a decent experience with any semi decent amplifier. And
Yeah.
anybody that says, "Oh, I need 1,000 watts," why? Well, because I'm way over here. Well, what are you doing? Oh, well, I'm cleaning the dishes. Well, in that case, you're not going to hear the difference
Yeah.
between fucking 10 watts
yeah,
and 1,000 watts any fucking way. So you
Right.
just negated your entire discussion.
yeah,
It's like if you're
exactly.
clanging
Yeah.
around doing something or walking or talking, or even if there's other people in the room, well, you're not going to notice
Yeah.
the difference.
Yep.
So
It's the
Exactly.
same
you just
thing, Paul.
negated
It's the
your
same
entire
thing.
discussion.
Paul, it's the same thing with theater, with home theater. Because people go crazy with home theater. And the bottom line is, okay, for the people who have a really large room and they're playing at, reference level, and that's something I would never do because it's too freaking
Oh,
loud.
I
But
can't do that.
yeah, that's ridiculous. But, people like to do that because they like to say, I can play at reference level. I get it, but that's
Hey,
not healthy for your ears. But
but before you go on, I don't
hmm
drive my motorcycle at 200 miles an hour, but
hmm
I can
it can go
get my
200 miles an hour.
motorcycle up to
Exactly.
200.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the thing.
Not the
And
one
so
I
it's
had.
Then
so it's
you're not
nice.
you're not a
You
real
know, I
It's
used
biker.
nice
to,
to
You're
yeah.
not a real
So it's
biker,
nice to
Paul.
have it.
yeah,
It's nice
yeah,
to have it. Yeah, it's nice to have it, but we know realistically, if you've been in the hobby for any amount of time and you use common sense, then you know that stuff simply, it's not all what it's cracked up to be. And the thing is,
Exactly.
so when I talk about home theater and I talk about like the listening levels that we generally do, and when people go power crazy, the thing that I always bring to people's attention is if you think about it, in the old days, right, you could probably get away with statements like that. But if you think about today, your subwoofers themselves have amplifiers in them that have 1,000 watts, right? So all the power is being generated. Mostly the power is generated from bass, right? That's what takes most of the power. And the subwoofer has its own amplifiers. So it's like, it's amazing. You'll have 4 of these things and they all have 1,000 watt amplifiers in it. And people still think somehow that they need to
yeah.
have,
It's all
thousands
relative.
and thousands of
Yeah,
watts.
I always go back to the car. People like, "Oh, do you listen to your car stereo, your factory car stereo at full volume?" Oh no, that's way too loud. That's only like 5 watts to 10 watts peak, not
Yeah.
even RMS. That's like 10 watts peak. And what? No. Well, you're really close, so it's not a fair comparison. You're not even a meter away from those
Right.
speakers,
Right.
but it's all relative. So that's, but yeah, I can't wait for you to get those monoblocks and show off the new system and the new setup. But if you get monoblocks, you do have to get cable risers so you can
He
show
has
off
cable
the
risers. He
He's already
has
cables
he's
cable
already got
risers.
dental
He
floss.
has cable
to.
I already
Paul, he
have
has cable
risers.
risers.
Yes.
He
Oh,
has
I do.
risers,
okay,
Paul.
okay,
He's
okay.
he's
I
already got
saw
the
the
dental
I saw
floss.
the yeah, I saw the tour.
I can
I
go
saw
get
the
one
tour,
if you
and
guys forgive me. I provided an asset here for Ike if he wants to bring it on and replace my face. I'll go get one of them and show you what it is.
Oh yeah,
So
which ones do you
that's
have? Because
that's the current room, and underneath my double sets of cables because, like I said, I have them bi-amplified off the amplifier in the middle. I have these little let me go get one. Excuse me. You guys can criticize my room if you
Look
want.
like
I'll go
more
grab
for the
one real
Okay,
heavy
quick and bring
well,
it back.
while we're
I'll tell you
waiting
what
on
they are.
you, let's go to Chuck. What were you wanting or thinking about besides for next year on your theater or your system?
At this point, maybe more acoustic treatments is
The
kind
word
of
that you can't mention.
Oh,
yeah.
damn it! You just I was trying to set him up, bro.
No,
You,
but
he was going to be
We're
actually,
the
in
first one
cahoots.
to
I gotta
drink.
save him.
I have been in my head thinking I got to get these treatments. I got to get these treatments,
That
and some of them
dude,
I
you're
can make.
100% on point with that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and some of them, like the cloud, I think I'm just gonna do absorption up there. But the areas behind the curtain, I'm probably just gonna do absorption because it doesn't make sense putting any kind of scatter plates when they're gonna be behind the curtains.
Now, I'm going to be opposite of what I usually say, because to me, 99% of people only need absorption. But diffusion looks better.
And I
And,
do want that in the back. I do want
and
that.
knowing the skills you have, I would be impressed if you made kind of your own diffusion and put it up on the ceiling as more of an art deco type of looking scenario.
So
Well, that's possible.
you can do that, right? But how do you know what the functionality is, right? So you have
That's what I was
I
wondering.
know there's certain parameters that it has to be cut at angles and all kind of different stuff to actually be used as diffusion, not just a
Now,
scatter plate,
Yeah.
if
to be a
you're
diffuser.
okay, but here's the thing: if you're talking, and that's okay, that's the myth. Okay, in reality, companies will sell these diffusions, and yes, it's based on measurements and capturing the sound, bouncing it back and forth, diffusing the sound, right? And it different dimensions capture or bounce specific wavelengths back and forth more often, right? But even people that sell it, high end companies that sell that shit, they don't know the diffusion you need in your room. They're selling boilerplate diffusion panels, every single one of them. So
Well,
in reality, that's why absorption is what you need most of the time. You do diffusion when your room is too dead. That's when
Yep.
you start bringing back your diffusion, but it
That's
still
why
does
it's in my
calm
room.
down the sounds. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Kanga, he has a lot of stuff going on in his room where it's a lot of diffusion. He has absorptions behind his curtains because it's just like, hey, it's like
Yeah, I got
bound.
curtains in the front and back. It's a bare ceiling, which is going to change. It's 2 layers of carpet through the middle of the room, dark carpet on the back, thicker carpet on the front. There's a window well behind the mirror that's sitting there, but it's asymmetrical in the room. So I added foam on the left side to make the air volume the same for left and right. The real issues I have are the lowest bass frequencies, which is pretty obvious. I mean, that's a small looking room. It's only 10 by 13. So it's
And
really small for the kinds
it's
of
pretty,
frequencies that I would
yeah.
want.
Mm-hmm.
The
That'd
towers
be
can
very
do it
difficult.
because I can hear it in my bathroom, but I can't hear it in my listening position.
That's
Yeah,
that's,
it's tough.
that's heavenly looking to me. I look in here and
Oh
it's
yeah,
like I'm in heaven.
Yeah,
I
man,
can walk
Kanga
well,
around
has
and
got he's
music.
on point with the decor, man. Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
telling you,
the
he's
reason why I did the room, and I don't want to bring it to a sad point, but my mom passed away in February, and her house, her room was decorated in such a way where her kitchen was white, her living room was white, her main decor color was white, her bedroom is all in white, and white was always her basis point. She used black and other colors. Turquoise was her favorite color. She used that in everything that she did, and she was an interior decorator. So when she passed, and I knew that that was happening for the last few years, I decided to like basically build this room as a tribute space and a place where I can always go and listen to her music and her playlist, and I can hear her singing through some of the songs. And like when, Rod Stewart comes on, I can hear her singing along in the car and all that kind of thing. So this space is really dedicated to her in a way, in that light. So it's not ironic you say heavenly, but it's
Yeah.
also like a comfort space. So that I think you
Yep.
definitely
Oh,
got the message.
absolutely. That's the
Yeah.
best description of that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is, and it looks amazing. Yeah.
It does.
So
Yep.
It's
All right,
cluttered
let's see.
now. My
Let's see
mom
a
would be
highlight
like,
of
"Get
these.
that ugly table out of the middle of that floor."
And
Let's see a
Hey.
highlight of the dental floss risers that you got.
I
Oh,
need
okay,
a place
yeah.
to set my
you
beer, so
pull that
you
down,
got to
I'll
have a
show you
table
what I
there.
got in my hands. I got a couple of other
Like-
treats that I dragged out of my room too, so we want to clear that asset. I've got them here. These are all on the floor. They still have
Highlight
the
on him,
protective
Mike.
layers on them,
let me see if I can
but
pull up
let me
Kango.
just I'll stop sharing. That'll remove that, and then I can calibrate our screens here.
Yeah.
I
That's
know,
basically
I was
what I
like,
have
see
on the floor.
Brady Bunch going on right now. There we go.
Yeah. So that's what it is. It's essentially just a holder. So
Oh, nice.
that's the way it comes, flat pack. And it's designed, it's if I'm gonna make a really big joke here about it, it's a ball holder.
Yeah. Well, if it's under $1,000, you need at least 10 of them to make
A
any
pack?
acoustic
I
difference.
swear to God, a pack of these, which they're 2.5 inches tall, essentially, they're made out of acrylic plastic. A pack of 5 of these or 6 of these cost $20. So
Yeah,
Not bad.
I mean,
that's
all
what I
of the
like about
riser
you,
companies
Kinga. You're
out there are
like,
gonna
wait a
hate me
minute,
right now, but I don't care.
I can
These
do
are
that.
just as functional. They're not metallic. They're not going to hold any kind of a charge. And if your cables are on carpet or otherwise, and the funny thing is, if you looked at that photo of my room with the white carpet and the white cables, you can't even see these. This
Yeah, that's what's
literally
amazing
disappears.
about it. Yep.
Oh, I
It's
noticed
those
your
little
dental floss
things that
holders
make a
last
difference.
week.
Yeah,
But
and you know what?
you're a
That is
professional. It's
that makes those
Yeah.
stand out, especially in person. If you were there and you were seeing that, you would be like, "Oh man, this is $1 million," you know.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yep.
yeah. Just
Oh wait, is it?
So you said it wouldn't hold a charge, but doesn't the battery pack on your cables isn't there supposed to be a charge on them?
I don't use Audio Quest. Are you kidding me?
Ah,
If I'm gonna listen. I
Let's
love
not
to
even
debate
go
about
there.
cables. You'll see me in my Instagram live videos all the time, pointing at the hydro wire towers that are in
I
the
will. I
field.
will tell you. I watched Linus Tech Tips and audiophile equipment a
Oh
review
yeah,
on a
I did
bunch of
too.
stuff, and and I was laughing because I was like, yeah, I never thought about that. And what he said is, I hired someone to design my room, and they get paid X percentage of everything they sell. So obviously they're selling you the $1,000 cable risers and all this stuff. And I'm paraphrasing completely because it wasn't cable, just to make it match the conversation. And they were like, even though it doesn't do anything, but it's like, oh no, now I promote this because it's a tax on the rich. You don't need it. But as if I come in and I design your space and I only get 10%, I'm selling you that $1,000 friggin' cable riser because that's a tax on the. And what do you care? It's like, oh yeah, it makes it sound better. I put that 1,000 fancy words over here that sound technical, And I'm like, you know what? That's a good point. You know what? People that don't know, that believe that, it's like, hey, it's a tax on the rich. You know what? If hey, and I'm like, okay, I guess I can get behind that. It's like, go ahead. Now I'm just,
Well,
it's like I can't
that's why
argue
I'm
with.
here. I'll come in and I'll say you can buy 5 of those things for $20 and tell them that, you know.
Yeah,
Sounds like a
for
5
someone
gig
that,
internet, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. If you don't have 5 gig internet, you do not have full bandwidth
Yes,
audio. I can
yes.
tell you right now.
You can't get the best from your home theater with that 5
You
gig internet.
cannot get the best audio if you don't have 5 gig internet. Minimum.
Or 3 meters to
Minimum.
listen to. So it looks like my room's canceled.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
So,
muted, Fred.
who else didn't talk about what they have for next year? Fred? Did you
I think
comment on
Fred
any?
talked. Fred is in
Yeah,
mute.
Fred's
Fred's
muted.
on mute.
Fred, you're
You
on
hear me,
mute.
Fred?
Fred's permanently muted and not listening. Nah,
You're
might have
muted.
died.
you know, we see the mouth moving and nothing's happening.
Still nothing,
Oh.
Fred.
Or
Oh,
He had to check out and come back in.
died
we
out.
might have lost him.
I
So I'll go ahead and go with mine. If
yeah,
you
go
guys
ahead.
don't
I want to
mind.
hear yours, man. Mine's
So,
quick.
mine is get the damn room
Okay, can
done.
you hear me
No.
now?
Yeah, we can hear you
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, but now you
I
got to
had
be
to
quiet
drop. I
because
had to-
Don's talking.
Yeah, I had
No,
to-
it's fine. Go ahead.
I had to drop. No, you can talk. Down. I was just saying I had to drop because that happened before when I was muted, but I couldn't unmute.
Yeah, so I was going to tell what mine was, but I reached out to Dream Media because I'm not a Focal dealer, and just promoting them. I'm getting the Focal Batiste headphones, so I'm
I
going to
don't
be
know.
using them
Oh,
for
okay.
the podcast plus noise canceling, just everyday use too. They can hook up to my board that I have here, and so they should be coming in. They I think they ordered them. Said they should be in around the 18th. So that'll be an upgrade to my Beats that I got here. I don't know if you see me messing with them there a lot, but they're not very comfortable. They're really clamping down. So trying to find something else. As far as upgrades, getting the electrician to come in and wire up the theater, carpet, putting the riser in, and drywall. I need to get all that stuff done prior to thinking about any upgrades. For the theater. I figure I probably could spend another 10 to 15 grand getting all that done.
And you're going to be spending more money doing basically pro audio type of installation where you're going to have XLR boards and XLR extensions and connections all over to where you can have switchers to where you can do ABs for your customers, right? Straight up, hey, I'm sitting here, which, and admittedly, I know people will be like, oh, well, this isn't sitting exactly in this exact same spot. And it's like, yeah, that's true. That is true. Everything makes a difference, but you can always EQ or try to EQ for the position of each one of them and just give consumers a true comparison, because a lot of times, and I've seen this, one of my buddies owned a high-end shop, and he told me all the little secrets. They try to make what they make the most commission on, even if it's not the best speaker there, or the most profit on. It's like, oh, we got to make these sound better, because that's money is the root of all evil, if you would.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's not what I first and foremost. I just want to get the theater functionable, right, and then I'll go back and plans are to be able to have a couple different projectors up there, Epson, JVC.
Oh, that would be nice.
Sony.
Yeah.
That way I can just switch through them
and switch them back and forth. Yeah, that'd be cool.
And that way we can, when I have get-togethers and stuff like that, I'm trying to get a hold of a gentleman that Ike and I he's on the Facebook groups. I'm trying to get him to come on the show, but he's kind of trying to spearhead Florida get-togethers. And Michael's been a big
Oh,
Michael from Youth
nice.
Man's been a
Oh
big
yeah, I would love that.
promoter of that too. So trying to get him on the show so that we can spearhead that together and promote it and everything else like that, so that once we do that, we can have those A/B comparisons. I can have a group of 30, 40 people come over, and we can do those A/B comparisons. We can, maybe some people can bring, some of their equipment or whatever. I'll have a Lumengen in line, and if somebody wants to bring the Mad VR, let's put them head to head. Where have you seen them head to head anywhere? Nobody has
Never.
put them head to
No
head
one.
anywhere,
Yep.
right?
Nope. No
So
one wants to do that.
I would
right.
love for Florida
So
to have a group.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, that
I
would
would
be
love to
nice.
do that too. I mean, the issue is
Well, now
Florida's so
we
big,
have
right?
just a city group in Kansas City, which is pretty popular. So man, a whole state would be pretty difficult. Like if there
Yeah, that's
was,
exactly what I was going to say.
That's the
You got,
problem with
because
Florida.
I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah.
I thought that's
Florida's
what
pretty big,
Fine.
that's what Mike was doing with his sort of partner group or whatever, with that convention thing that they had going. It's like an audio show, but it's not really. It's more like an
M-Wave, yep.
experience. I thought that was kind of partly what they were trying to do there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
only
it's-
once a year.
This year coming.
Yeah, that's a once a year thing, but it's what they're trying to do here, which kind of spawned Ryan, is part of like the Kansas City Home Theater Group as well. And we all, like, we'll have a person that will just invite everybody to their
Yeah.
home for a party
Right.
to listen to their system. No, nothing. Just, hey, come over. Anybody that wants to listen, and maybe we'll watch a movie. Like, as soon as I get the barcade, done, and the theater, right now the only thing that really remaining is I need to upgrade my furniture for the theater space. As soon as I get that done, basically I'll be, hey, people come over, like let's experience my theater, to whether it's, it may be shit compared to yours, it may be amazing compared to yours, everybody's at a different spot. But to me, I love what I have because I literally can entertain with it and have people over, and they'll have a good time doing it. Now,
Yeah, like
granted, if
we
I'm
do that in the DFW, we do that, right? So I haven't been
Mm.
to one, but every month somebody kind of hosts, like the guys with the K-scape, right? They will get the new latest movie and then host, and everybody comes around and watches at their place. So I think it's a
Yep.
good community, and
Take your
you know,
shot,
Now
Ike.
be careful though, because it is a slippery slope. Because once you start making friends, you start off, it's like, well, I have a 5-seat theater and only ever used 1 seat or 2 seats. You
Yeah.
get into a group like that, and it's like, oh man, I have, like, if you're a good host, it's like, man, I have 15 people over, and 8 of them want to watch the movie, or 10 of them, and you're like, damn, now I
Yeah.
need to upgrade my home theater,
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, like you said, you do got to watch it. I look forward to M-Wave this year. I've purchased, I think I've already mentioned it, but I purchased 3 home theater tours and got invited.
It made me ask you which ones and what time.
Gotten invited to a 4th one, which I feel bad because the person's not getting paid for the 4th one, Mr. Paul.
Hey,
That's
that's
all right.
that's what happens when you're you're in the industry. You get a little bit of leeway there because it all kind of like balances
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Don't feel bad about that.
Yeah, no, I'm doing Jonathan's, no, yeah, I believe it's Jonathan's doing his theater. I know I signed up for one of the new one that's being built. It's a pretty big one. I don't know which one it is off the top of my head.
Yeah,
And
you
then,
named one that I was like, oh no, that's new. I've not even been to that one
Yeah,
myself.
Mm.
I don't remember what all three of them are now, but I'd have to go back and look here. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, getting back to my
can't.
wish list. My wish list is just to get this theater done as quick as possible. So I got lucky and was able to get homeowners insurance without them coming out to the house. So because I'm
Oh,
still not done.
nice.
That was my whole drive for getting all this done. But the
Yeah.
holidays have just consumed a lot of time again. You know, with a 4-year-old and everything else
Yeah, I
like
can
that.
imagine.
So
Yeah, that's tough.
so Fred, what do you have any upgrade plans? Anything?
I tell you
No,
what, I
my
haven't
it's
mentioned.
my. Go ahead,
You got any
William.
upgrade plans for your racing sim?
No, no, that's what I'm saying.
No
See,
wishes?
no, I'm quite established when it comes to my
You're
gaming and my
content? You're
racing.
content?
Yeah, I have
Nothing
nothing.
aesthetic. Ow. Nothing
No,
aesthetically, nothing at
no.
all.
I have everything that I want. And the thing is, when it comes to theater, I feel the same way. And when it comes to two-channel
Nice.
audio, I feel the same way. I'm totally satisfied. That's the thing. Like it's such a great spot to be in where I am
That
just
is.
totally satisfied. When I watched so many movies. I have a list of stuff that I watched since the last time we spoke. I watched Tenet. I watched a whole mess load of
Oh,
movies.
man.
And I gotta tell you, I enjoyed every
Wait,
one.
what's
I
the other
even
movies? You watched Tenet.
okay.
Let's hear the
I have
movie.
yeah. I have a so I watched The Creator. I watched
Oh,
I
Chef.
heard that was
I
good.
watched I watched No Time to Die, Inglorious Bastards, Tenet,
oh wow.
Flash, Up, Oppenheimer, Toy Story, all four of them. Um, Transformers: Rise of the Beast, which I want my money back, and Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. And then I also purchased the Pink Floyd Atmos mix, Dark Side of the Moon Atmos mix, and I listened to that. And I'm a Pink Floyd fan, right? But
hmm
I have to say, I think a lot of the hype on that one, I think it's because today it's a little different. People, I don't know, people want something. It was good. Like Money, the song Money was the best one. That's which one is that?
That's the
It's
new
That's
one.
Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
That's
Jones.
the
It
new one.
is.
Yeah,
Indiana Jones.
It's
Yeah.
I want to get that one. I haven't got
yeah.
that one yet.
I watched
I have
it
all the
the other
others you
day.
There
have.
you go. That
So I
My
have
God,
actually the exact
Oppenheimer was
same movie list
yeah.
that
insane.
you
I
just
Is the
watched
named
that.
is
off
the Creator 4K Blu-ray?
on discs.
Yes, it's 4K. Yes, with Atmos.
They have a
I
4K,
will
but
say
That's
this: there's
yeah.
a
I
new
haven't seen that
movie
yet.
that got released online. It's called "Leave the World Behind." It's
I
Ethan
saw the
Hawke,
title.
Julia
Hmm.
Roberts, another actor. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Anyhow, it just came out. It was on Netflix recently. I don't know where else it's available, but it has some of the most active Atmos surround height and back channel mix I have heard in any movie, including this stack of DVDs or Blu-rays that are in my hand. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
let's
only
face
it's
it.
only a yeah, it's only available on streaming right now at the moment.
Yep.
I
Leave
was
the
yeah.
world behind.
It's good. I
What is
mean,
it
And you
not
called?
know,
leave the world behind.
Yeah, it's
I gotta
only on
watch that.
streaming.
I wouldn't say that it's. I mean, like they advertise that what's it called, Silent something, that movie that it's like a horror movie with like creepy sounds and
Silent
stuff.
Night.
Silent, whatever. The one that
Silent
was
Night.
on
Yeah, I don't
Netflix.
remember. I don't
The
remember what
one
it
on
was called, but
Netflix, right?
I
it
did.
was touted as one of these really good Atmos mix, blah blah blah. But it's only like for 5 minutes at a time.
The one
You're
in
like,
net on
what's the
Netflix,
point?
right? Where you kind of hear the creepy sound. Is that the one you're
Yeah.
referring to?
So in that movie, Leave the World Behind, it's for me personally, I think I like the premise of the movie. It's very relevant to today, if people want to look at it that way. But from a movie standpoint and like watching standpoint, it's got one of the most active Atmos mixes. So you're gonna hear stuff in the channels like trees, birds, animals, the house, the like reverb, vocals, all that kind of stuff almost all the time. So it was a really big surprise. Even if it was on Netflix, I mean, it's still some sort of a compressed 4K, whatever sound mix, it was still impressive. So it's one I can't get on disc, but it's definitely worthwhile.
Paul, are you
Nice.
showing
Paul,
us
what's
your
that
porn
last one?
collection?
was
Yeah,
that
I'm
last one,
showing
Paul?
you my porn
keep it
collection.
PG,
Yeah,
man.
you know
Keep
what?
keep
I
it PG.
haven't
No
watched
collection.
this yet, but I
Which one
read
is
the
that?
cover
The
and it
black.
The
sounds
Blackening.
hilarious.
I've,
It's
I've
Which one?
basically it's saying I
What is
was
that one?
laughing.
it's
It's
called The
called The
Blackening.
Blackening, and it
Oh, the
says you
blackening.
are a
Okay.
black character in a horror movie. Can you survive? And I think the front is like, we can't all die first. So I was
Oh
like,
my god,
I have to get that. That's hilarious.
that's a good
Oh
bit of
my goodness.
satire on
Whose
how to
idea?
enjoy.
Yes, it's a 100, huh?
That's a satire, definitely.
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, dude, I seen it and I was like, and then I was like, okay, I gotta buy it. I'm a sucker for a good
Well, I don't
satire.
see
You have
that
to start
movie on
using that word more
Kaleidoscape,
often so
so
people don't
It's
forget what
hilarious.
satire
Yeah, I
Just the
think
actually
it's
is.
premise.
only. I think that movie is only. It's only Netflix. I think whatever. It's only on
Oh,
that
is
one
it?
platform.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
the
okay.
premise sounds hilarious because the genre. It's basically every horror movie. There's a black character token that dies immediately, right? And then this is like,
Yeah, it's one
hey,
of
the
those.
whole movie is all black characters, so who's gonna die first? Who's
That's like
No,
it's
but
the same
51
line of
Five said it
production
sucked.
as Scary Movie.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
as
Scary
ridiculous
Oh
Movie.
as
Yeah.
yeah,
Scary Movie is, or like
yeah,
South
Scary
Park, or you
Movie.
know what I mean. It
Yeah,
really
a
is
lot of
that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
you
what
That's
know
I
funny.
another
thought.
upgrade I want to do actually is I need to get a remote control, whether it's Control 4 or what's the other one? Not
Savant,
Savant.
Creston.
Savant.
That's another one.
Yeah, I don't know the differences between them, but that is something I got to do. One of my
If
next
you
upgrades.
start doing like blinds and stuff like that, I would say Control 4. But if you're just talking about your home theater equipment, you could probably do something else like Savant or whatever. Unless, Don, of something
Yeah, I
Now,
mean,
the,
Yeah,
different.
there's
the
been
price
some
Control
is the
4 is
same.
not as
recommended.
expensive as people think it is to get into it.
So
I
how
think
much
you
is
can
it though?
do.
Because I've been looking at it too.
I mean,
It-
What's the
I can't
average
quote
price
for
point?
someone, but I think you can get in for around $1,000.
yeah, it depends
To
on the units and the stuff that you
Like
want.
$1,000
right,
a
exactly.
month or what? What are you talking
No,
No,
about?
no.
no,
for
the
the
unit.
whole kit and
Yeah.
caboodle.
There
No,
was some
that's
guys
Yeah.
talking about it.
that's my subscription charge, Don. Or Ike, you're getting
Oh, my bad.
confused with your
I saw some guys talking
price
about
there.
that Control 4, and they were
Mhm.
like, I guess supposed to be experts, but they were saying that to get in it's like 1,200 just to get in,
Yeah,
and then
Yeah,
somewhere
when they
around there.
start to
yeah.
when
I
they
mean,
start to do
unless you
all
know
the
someone, then you can probably get that
yeah.
$200 for free. So he said
Yeah,
1,000.
Yeah, because
yeah.
that was the whole thing. Like when I saw it, and I was interested until they started talking about the price, and I was like, no way.
But I looked
Yeah,
And
at
I
for
know
Phantom
that can
the other
Control.
change. You know
ones.
what I mean?
The other ones are about the same
And
price.
I forgot I got a classic
Chuck,
set.
I'm not getting any of them.
Nice. That's like a
Yeah,
four
but
movie
Now,
in
Kanga,
one. Yeah.
Kanga,
4
what
different
was
discs
the last
too.
movie that you held up? Kanga
look at that,
held up
Fred.
Oh,
something.
the movie that I
Fred,
had.
look at that.
I know,
Oh,
but
the
you
reason
didn't
why
see,
the
Chuck, you
reason
didn't see
why
the
I
picture
held
that
this
I
one up is
posted?
the team
Chuck, I posted a picture and
the
I told
team
the
got an
guys that I
award for
needed
sound
a
design,
solution.
and
Which one is that?
it's called
Arrival.
Arrival.
Did you
And
like
the
that movie?
reason why I recommend it is for the alien sounds. They're like the vocal sounds that they produce in some of the scenes is just unreal.
I tried to
Maybe not
watch
for
the
any other
movie
reason, but
twice. I couldn't finish it.
I
Oh,
watched
come
it a long
on.
time ago.
I
Yeah.
couldn't finish it. Like I tried to
Does
watch
it have
it
yeah,
Dolby
the
Atmos?
movie itself, like you might not want to follow the story. It's a little bit
Yeah.
slow, but for those scenes where they're like the aliens will vocalize, they're some of the craziest types of sound design you've ever come across
Mm.
in most movies. I
Now,
mean, for you want to talk about sounds and audiophile, you know what I mean? Like I like the sound of broken glass in a underground parking garage, or the sound of thunder in an open field, or you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I like those sounds in general in nature. So when they put really, really good sound design in, like the opening for Master and Commander, I never watch more than 25 minutes of that movie, but I
That's
will
a good
definitely
movie.
sit through the intro.
And
That's
It's
a
and
good
that's
movie.
that's DTS
phenomenal.
5.1, right? That's
Yeah,
not
it's
even
only
like Atmos.
5.1 at that
Yeah,
point. They
yeah,
didn't make
that's
a bigger
yep.
mix, but the sound texture is so realistic that it will have you turning your head at every time you watch it. It is unreal. There's some mixes that are better than spectacle, is what I'm trying to say. Like there are gems in all of these movies where you just listen to one section and it's like in what's that movie called? Castaway, where it was one of the first 6.1 movies that was mixed for DTS. Tom Hanks movie, he's on the island on his own, and the 6.1 mix comes in where he's looking for falling coconuts. It's like an unreferenced scene in movies, but it's one of the first 6.1 mixes that we ever got. It's really
Wow.
good, just for like
Center,
5 or 10
center
minutes.
back.
It's not base demo like everybody goes to Ready Player One because it's
Yeah.
like
Do you
clip
know
speakers up to 10 on the treble in
yeah.
the audio store with your Vivid Max TV trying to get your attention. It's not, you know what I mean? Like
That's
if that's what
that's
our sensitivities
exactly
come to,
To-
we're in
total
trouble.
side
that's
note,
exactly what Ready Player One is. But
do
that's why
you
I also tell
know
people,
the
if you're trying to
beginning
demo your
of
system,
yeah. You know the
I'm sorry,
beginning
I
of
was.
Ready Player One? You know the beginning,
Hmm.
or not Ready Player One, but you know the beginning of Edge of Tomorrow or Live, Die, Repeat, where
Yeah,
everybody does the bass demo? Do
yeah,
Yeah.
you know that demo that everybody says, oh, we got to do this. I want to be able to hear
yeah. It
this
goes down to
down to,
6 hertz. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Do you know recently an interview was done with the sound engineer, and that was a mistake?
Well,
That
they took
was
it out on the
not
disc.
supposed to
You know
be
that,
It
there.
right?
wasn't supposed to do that.
That's why that was not supposed to be in there. Hmm.
Yeah, they
And
removed
people
it
Oh
don't even know
well.
that. So people tout, oh, I got to get down to this 5 hertz or this 2 hertz or whatever because Edge of Tomorrow goes down that way. No, not according to the sound engineer. Well, yeah, it does because we fucked up. And
Yeah,
we
but
didn't think
they
anyone
actually
would
took
have
I
a
it
think
out.
if
system
the
that would
whole
do
thing was
that,
to
You
so we
slow
didn't
car
you
audio down
bother
because that'll get
correcting
you
you
it.
to
don't
5
you
hertz.
don't you don't even get that when you buy the disc. They took
Yeah, I
that
think they
out,
removed it
right?
off the
Yeah,
disc.
They
the new
removed it.
yes,
They
the newer
removed it.
discs
Yeah,
they
so
removed
you
it.
don't
Yep.
even get
The
that.
4K
So,
version,
but
yes. The 4K
yeah, the
version they
4K
removed.
version, they
Yeah,
took that
the
out of there.
4K. Yep.
So it's funny because the reason that I always say Ready Player One, because it's so cliche, right? The go-to cliche, Ready Player One. But the reason that I always say Ready Player One, I've heard some great, Atmos tracks, but the reason I always use that one is because I look at it like this. If you don't create like a demo, like playlist for yourself, right? If you don't do that, then the best thing you can do is put on Ready Player One because it's the lazy man's thing. You put it on, and right at the beginning, it just starts off with things everywhere, right? So, what
Yeah.
better way to say to somebody, "What do you think?" You just put that on, and they're like, "Oh my God, I love it!"
That
Right?
is
Because
true. That
anything
is
else,
true.
you
The
got to,
beginning,
right?
whenever he's going through the universe and
Mm-hmm.
you got the casino and then
Mm-hmm.
you go in there for whatever. And yeah, it is. It does
Yeah,
show a lot
yeah,
where they're.
yeah. So you can't. That's an
But
easy one, right?
one thing that you guys don't know about that mix is that it's actually static.
It's static,
Mm-hmm.
It's
yes.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
that's
It's not.
all just your
There's not a lot of.
7.1
yeah,
on a
Yep.
lot of that
yeah.
stuff.
And that
Yep.
and that is something because it sounds good,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So what does that tell
Yeah.
us? That tells us that, when people are sitting there with that, what's the Trenoff thing called where it shows all the little balls and things
The
bouncing
tracker.
around?
Yeah.
The activity.
Yeah,
Yep.
it just goes to
Atmos
show you
tracker.
that sometimes you can ignore all that and just enjoy the freaking movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Hence,
enjoy
More
it.
hence,
often than not, we
hence
need to
the
remind
hence the
people
movie that
just
you just watched, Tenet. Right.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan does not mix in Atmos. Right.
God,
That's
man.
right.
none of his
That
movies
was
are in Atmos, and I'm
crazy.
so mad about it. I'm like, dude, like, look, at least let us understand what they're saying. If you're not going to go to more than 5.1 channels, can you make the
Can we
vocals
make the center
clear at
channel
least?
work?
I mean,
Yeah.
dude,
But
It's
you
almost like
know,
4.1. There's no center channel in this movie.
yeah. You
make
Yeah,
know,
it
Tenet was
that's
bad
tough.
for that.
1.1. At least let the center channel sound clean. I mean, can I understand one movie you've made?
Yeah, Tenet was the worst, man.
Oh man. All right.
It's so
So look,
Yeah,
we're
I
running
think I
close
didn't
to
get,
3 hours here.
I didn't get to mine, but I just want to work in projector for 2024, and
Well, I
Man.
I,
and
I don't want to
and
spill the
You
beans,
deserve
but
it
you're
now.
working on something over there
but
too, right?
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I think in 2024 I would probably end up with a video processor. I'm not sure.
Oh, nice.
Nothing now, but
And
probably towards the
mine's
end of the year.
simple. I'm new furniture, and I'm thinking about getting technical equipment wise. I'm thinking about trying one of those HD Furies that you
Yeah,
um,
get you
got.
one of those. I'll recommend that for anybody any day.
So other than that, nothing. So
They're not that much, right? They're
furniture,
right about $500.
Yeah, for the
yeah,
room.
something
Yeah,
like that.
for the particular
Yeah.
one that. Yeah,
I'm surprised you're not more into the Mad VR computer version,
myself.
Paul.
Oh,
That's that.
He's in it
It's the
through
same. It's the same reason why
Trump.
I bought a NAS instead of using free NAS. I just don't want to mess with it.
yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
want something that just works. I don't want to. I
He's
don't want to have a
messing with it
computer
through
where I'm
time.
constantly
Mhm.
Yeah.
messing with. Yeah,
I need to
but
get
on
time to work on mine for me.
yeah, he has Mad VR on the computer and it works great. But
Matter of
yeah,
fact, we need.
he's
Speaking of
it's
Tom, we need
also
to get him
his.
on the show. We've not had him on.
Where is
Yeah,
he,
yeah,
man? We
you
haven't
should.
seen him
You
online
should
in a
get him
while.
on here, man.
I'll
Yeah,
text
yeah.
him.
I talked to him. He's been really, really busy. I actually was able to go to his house, and he did say that he'll even be on the Daily Hi-Fi after the new year. He'll be able to start coming back and hanging out with
Yeah,
us.
let's
and
get him
Yeah,
on the show.
bless us with his
I always liked
presence.
having him
I'll
on.
send him a
I,
text
I,
tomorrow just
I've
checking on
always
him.
liked talking to Tom, always. So,
Oh yeah, he's a wealth
he's a
of
good guy.
knowledge, and me and
Yeah.
him, we just get along really well. So I get along with everybody. So I guess that doesn't say much.
Well, look, we're coming up on 3 hours here, so I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Chuck, Fred, Paul, Joseph, thank you guys for joining us. Look, if you haven't subscribed to Symphonic Audio, make sure you go over and check out Joseph's channel. Great channel, great content. Make sure you're checking out his photos that he's also doing. He's doing a lot of stuff in this space. As Paul just mentioned, a wealth of knowledge. If you haven't subscribed to Horizon Home Theater, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, make sure you check out Ike's channel, Easy HT Tech. Ike's got some stuff coming up that he's not pulled back the curtain on yet, but he's got some upgrades over there that he's holding back on, and but make sure you check his channel out. One last thing before you do go, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have you on here. You don't need a $1 million system. You don't need a $3,000 system. If you'd like to share what you got, make sure you send us an email to hometheaterhublive@gmail.com. So just send us an email. We'd love to have new guests on. This is the format that we're actually shooting for, with people showing off their upgrades in their theaters and stuff like that. Just on a fly by night basis, we're not just scheduling stuff. So but this is stuff that we like to do. Just sit down, have a chat, and about anything and everything. You see, the conversation just went all kind of directions today, and that's exactly the way I like it. That's what makes the show so fun and entertaining to me. I
What
think
was the
we
first
go
half of the show, though? What were we talking about again?
I don't even remember. I emptied my cup, so I don't remember.
yeah. So
You're like, yeah, I don't remember. I can't even. Nope, sorry. I don't know what it was.
So happy New Year, everyone. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. From Horizon Home Theater and Easy Tech, Symphonics, Happy New Year, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Take
Later,
care,
guys.
everyone.
Have a good
See you
day.
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Stay on, guys.